Every Thursday, the scene is set in the realm of thoughts where minds are met. They're the thinkers with brains on the brink. Every Thursday, they're doing a thing with that darn kitty as the fearless lead. The fox through by her side, they plant the seed with Dorcas guiding through dungeons deep, and Grey Coupe spreads it on steep. Nemo's crush goes like magic in the air. The breast Hydra's expertise beyond compare. Charles manages the box office with grace, while other guests add to the lively space. In a world of thoughts where minds collide, the thinkers gather their wits as their guide. From deep contemplation to laughter's embrace, every Thursday is their special place.
I was just blown away because I didn't realize. I opened the stream, of course, to look at the chat, and it wasn't playing until it ended for us.
Oh.
So I heard that last part 2 times over, and it was throwing me off.
What's up,
Hello,
Congo?
everyone.
Hi. What is up, Congo? Congo is here 2 days in a row, boy.
Congo Christopher.
Congo Christopher.
Yes.
Welcome back, Don Kitty. Thank you for joining us. La, 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 la. Love that song as usual. It's our special place.
You need to be a green thinker.
I really want to get one, actually.
Is that green? It looks gray to me.
Green.
Based.
Oh, I need a. You don't have a purple one. I haven't seen yet.
I'm not the one to tell you what color that is because I'm partially colorblind.
Oh, well, mine's your green. I have like a magenta colored one.
Ooh.
Oh, okay, that works. Yeah.
Magenta.
You know what? I will have to crochet one in purple, so that it matches the scuff. It can't look as neat and tidy and cool as yours. It's got to be like properly like who did that? Then it'll be fine. It's Congolanius Christopher. Sorry, so use his full name.
Dorcas, I need your Roman accent for this. I need you to say that name.
Yeah, say this, Dorcas.
Congolanius Christopher.
Ooh.
There we go.
That's
perfect.
It's got to be a V.
I don't know.
Instead of a U.
Yes. Christopher.
Oh, that's funny. Has anyone ever given Charles the name handicapped because of his hat? I don't know. It might be you.
I don't know what that means.
Are you handicapped?
Handicapped.
Oh.
App.
Maybe the answer is
He didn't
yes.
like it. He doesn't like it. It's not funny.
Womp womp.
Just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's not funny, but
not funny to him. He is the arbiter of what is funny. That's what we've decided. As well as the box office. He manages it with grace. Our topics for today, as they are so well defined, is bitter media and Tim Pool things, basically. The breaking news, whatever that's happened there.
It's broken.
It's broken, yes. We'll get onto that, but look at him, exactly. See, Hydra has arrived.
Perfect timing.
Because before we get onto that,
arrived.
also what we usually do, in case you haven't noticed, we talk crap for the first few minutes. So we're going to talk
becomes
about
very handy when I have a little accident and I'm late because I have to set stuff right before I come back.
Oh, save your excuses for later.
Wow,
Okay.
it's 26 degrees at 9:36 a.m. on Vancouver.
It's coming out of your paycheck, Hydra.
I can't wait.
Listen,
for the
my
time.
paycheck is gonna be spent on electronics if my misfortune continues like this. So that is meaningless now.
Sorry, what were you saying, Kitty?
I was saying to Lucifer, because Lucifer's talking about it being 26 degrees Celsius.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just like, you know what? I really would like us to get back to the 20s Celsius in Dubai. We don't have any 20, 29, nothing. No, it is now, it's 22, 9 o'clock at night, and it's 35 degrees Celsius. So,
oh my gosh. Jeez, you live in an oven.
I don't go outside. What do you think this is? And I'm wearing my robe because we got the aircon all the way up. So,
Preach.
I was about to say it's hot over here because it's 20 degrees Celsius.
Oh, well, that's winter for us.
Jeez.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, today was 28 degrees. Oh, that sounds cool. That sounds very cool.
You can have that over there.
Yeah, it's okay. I am in the desert. What do you expect? Okay. At least we have
cold
aircon.
at night, no? Because you haven't had any trees or anything to. I don't know.
We got this city making its own climate.
Like
Things like that.
Vegas
34.
is chilly at night.
There you go. 34 degrees. That's what it's.
Yeah,
it's
Zero
still-
Fucks lives in an oven too.
It's still hotter here, but you know
Is that
we get there.
Azarona?
25 degrees in Joburg. Oh, it's nice. Proper room temperature. We good.
Joburg, like
Johannesburg.
yeah, over there.
South Africa. So we were going to talk
Yolandi.
about gaming, and that is why Hydra appeared. He heard my thoughts about gaming.
I have been summoned telepathically. Yes.
Yes. So we have how many games? You guys were talking Outlaws.
Oh, I was just
yeah.
I was just curious because I started playing it and my controller is broken, so I can't properly judge it. But I wasn't wowed with the.
How's the stealth? How's the stealth for
I
you?
haven't gotten that far. I have not gotten that far. My up is constantly like if I'm just standing still, I go forward.
Oh, you've got drip. Okay.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
not the
that's a
game's
big
fault.
oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not played it because of that issue. I like you could literally watch me struggle with it for an hour. I had a video that I posted, but I'm not going any further to like replace my controller.
Once I stop suffering and fix all of my problems and I'm no longer in intense pain, I shall delight in someone else's intense pain and check it out.
You're like, okay, enjoy
We can
that.
cry together.
So there was that one that you guys want to talk. Sorry,
No. I was just curious because I'm not really wowed by it, but then again, I'm not really that deep into it.
So far, the general reception has been that the game is very mediocre.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that there's so much media fanfare about how it's the most Star Wars game to ever exist. Blah blah blah. That always happens. It's always the first of something. You know,
It's
no
not
matter
just
what.
the first. It's that Star Wars has been an IP that was hoarded and guarded by EA for zero fucking reason. Because we are the only ones allowed to make Star Wars game, and then the games they made were all trash or full of microtransactions or both. And now it's coming off of that. So hopefully they will have some actually good Star Wars games soon. But until then, the amount of variety is so strict and so barely existent that, oh my god, a mediocre Star Wars game? There are none like this around. Like, it's the equivalent of giving a man in a desert some fucking, I don't even know, it's some shitty ass like bubbly water with like Mentos or something. It's like, here, drink this. It's like, oh my god, I haven't had water in 2 days. And it's like, yeah, but it's trash water. No one likes it.
Right.
Who cares? Water.
Oh my gosh, this is just like the analogy I had in the back room. Like,
alley water, he calls it.
Yes, alley water. Like if you were thirsty and you walked through an alley and you saw like a half full plastic water bottle. There it is. That's English. A bottle of water. Yes, a half full bottle of water, and it's all sweaty on the inside.
Water.
Would you drink it? Like
Sweaty
that's the
on
real
the inside.
question.
Yeah, you mean with the content? Okay, I was like, for sweaty on the inside.
Yeah, sweaty on the inside.
And
we're all
you
sweaty
see,
on the
the
inside.
pragmatists on the panel were like, you know what?
If I was really thirsty.
Yeah.
I think I put that
How
accent
close
on.
am I to home? It's exactly. Agua, yes, Lucy. I still need a clip of where that came from. The fact that Vaush says agua. It's
his
lore.
debate.
I know
Oh
it's lore,
no,
but
please.
I don't have
No, not that. Not the Aqua debate. The legendary Voice tries to debate a fucking philosopher in his
Charles,
field
do you
of
not know what we're talking
expertise
about?
with zero prep and just gotcha owns.
Is that the name of a horse?
No.
Okay. Let me give you a quick background here, Charles. You know who Vosh is, right?
Yeah, he knows the
yes.
horse.
Okay, yeah. So
Tacoma wept. Yeah.
yes, he is. He's doing a debate with a what was it? A guy that has a degree in hydroscience. I forget exactly what it is. But
Hydroscience?
no, though I think that would have been really
Basically.
funny.
Was it depressed hydroscience? Well,
There you go. Thank you. You're very good at that. That's his natural voice, friends. But they're trying to argue over the definition of water because the scientist guy, he was like, well, it's because this is H2O, and he's like, it's not H2O, it's agua.
The argument was something like water is like H2O is water.
Hydrodynamic.
You cannot have H2O is water. You cannot have a meaningful distinction. It's different words for the same thing. H2O is water, and then Walsh retorts with, I'm paraphrasing here, but this is the spirit of the conversation. Walsh retorts with, of course it's a different thing. All you have to do is walk across the Mexican border, and over there it's agua, and he mispronounces agua something, and then the professor is like, what? Agua is water. It's the same thing. What do you mean?
So it was just he was doing word games. It was fun.
It's not even good pedantry.
Yeah, it's like what that is. It's like I have translated the word. It now means a different thing philosophically. Me and in argument. Yes.
But back to gaming here for a second. So
it's Lucy's fault. Look what Lucy did.
Yeah, how dare she? She's interrupting us like that. What the heck? But
hi, Lucy.
Let's go.
But Star Wars Outlaws hasn't gotten very many good reviews. The gameplay I've seen of it, because God, I have not played it. I don't want to play it. But it doesn't look great. Just aesthetically, it looks muddy to me. But the gameplay itself, one, not my thing. Two, it looks like it's so full of bugs that it hasn't been like QA tested. Which that's the what I heard about the early access, that people had to pay to access, where they kept getting their save files corrupted because they had to keep patching it hour after hour because it was so many game breaking bugs.
So you can be a game tester. Pay you can live experience the final phase of game development. That will do, but the game is released.
But there's some other stuff going on in gaming right now, because there's a game that surprisingly very few people have actually heard of called Concord that in 2 weeks of release is getting shut down.
I've heard of Concord because it sucks so bad.
That's
yes, pretty much.
Yeah. I didn't even listen. It's my I need it. It's a matter of importance that I keep up with the gaming market for obvious reasons, And even I only heard like a whiff, like a distant wet fart about Concord, it was a thing, and it's like, oh wow.
For this being Sony's one of Sony's most expensive games to develop, it had basically no marketing, or that's how it felt, because I didn't even hear about it until it released, and people were saying, "Man, this game sucks," because it's a $40. It's a $40 Overwatch attempt. Like, it's trying to be Overwatch, but not free to play. Instead, it was $40. And the aesthetic, if you ever look at Concord, none of the characters look like they have any sort of consistency of design. They all look like, let's take people's OCs, like original characters, and slap them into a game and see how it goes.
This is what it's like when somebody goes binging on like the Unity asset store and buys everything with no thinking and slaps them all into an engine. It's like the things that you have acquired their design are not consistent with each other.
It's taken 8 years to develop, by the way.
I hate it.
And instead of reviving, let's say, a new port of Bloodborne or something of the sort, or a remake, there's so many IPs that Sony could have done. But instead they were like, this is going to be the Overwatch killer. This is what we're going to develop everything into. And it's sounds like
the Overwatch killer this time, guys. Definitely this time. It sounds like so hard cope. I'm sorry. It's like we're gonna try this extreme political philosophy again. This time it's reminds me of how about you do something else?
So there's some designs in this game that I think just need like a second or third draft, and their designs would be pretty good. But definitely not all of them. I love how it's showing the Concorde plane. That's great.
It's just it's like game, video game, flaming plane, video game plane.
We gotta see what the characters fully look like, because there's one that looks like it has a bucket on her head. Look at that!
God. What is that?
Hold on.
That looks like an April Fool's skin for a different character or something.
So it's just a lot of characters. They kind of look like I said, they needed a couple drafts of being cooked in the oven, maybe a little more focused testing in terms of, does this look appealing? Because if you were to take that character and hey AJ, if you were to take that character and you were to completely make a silhouette out of them, would you be able to differentiate this character from anyone else from any series?
No.
The answer is no.
Yeah.
There's no. That's the big thing that Overwatch is amazing. They had an amazing job doing.
You need that, especially if it's going to be
every character looks distinct. You can recognize those characters based off their silhouette alone.
Yes, that's important for game design, especially if you're designing a game where rapid reactions and correct counters are important. You know,
guys. I have to interrupt for a very important announcement.
Cat?
Go and vote for AJ.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Go and vote for AJ. So he
wants to meet Caesar Milan, right?
Meet Caesar Milan. He wants
also
to
look at his doggos.
Yeah. Look.
What is this website? Orbit? What the fuck is it?
Vote for AJ. We need to keep him first. Okay, we need to keep him first. Just do that so that he can meet Caesar Milan. So he can. When you meet Caesar Milan, are you going to be like, no touch, no talk, no eye contact? Like, is that how you're going to go? But yeah, please go and vote for AJ. I will then be able to go, you see, 7 degrees of separation. I know someone who knows Caesar Milan. So that's only for me. It's not for AJ. Who gives a shit about AJ? Just so I can say it.
So I gotta add the second part to that. That photo that you guys just saw, part of it is actually a veiled threat. I've heard through the grapevine that if you don't get him to be able to see Caesar Milan, he's gonna eat those dogs.
Yes,
no.
This is true. This is true.
So make sure you vote to keep those doggos safe.
Yeah, because those dogs will become useless if he doesn't meet Caesar Milan.
Well, useless to everyone except for AJ, who will eat them for protein.
Yeah, they will be useful.
No, but he will only eat a useless dog. That's his. Look at this Paparoo. This is my favorite one. This one here. Are they yours or are those just your
Obviously, that's my favorite one too. I don't know why.
They've been donated. They're already useless.
Stop.
Me and my dogs will eat everyone else's dogs. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I love the one with the. God,
very cute.
So yes, going back to the Concorde stuff. Sorry, let's go here. You were saying about silhouettes and things. Have you seen? Let me actually. Sorry, I've got a bookmark for this discussion. Have you seen that there are some creators that are now taking this as a base, the characters as a base, and then fixing them? Yes,
that's a very fun thing. Ironically, I was talking to CT about this in her Discord server, and I'm going to be doing the same. I'm going to be taking the silhouettes and fixing them, because there is something there. Like that character that you see on the screen right now, there's something there. You can absolutely make that an attractive looking character. And I don't mean attractive as in like a sexy woman. I'm meaning attractive as in your eyes will be drawn to that instead of away, because the first thing that I see is a really fat character in a big coat.
Yeah. This reminds me of the time, I think it was that Star Wars girl that redrew a picture of She-Hulk. And then she ended up getting a lot of flack for it.
Also,
old drama by now.
Louise.
Hello, Louise.
Louise.
So let's see this video. I haven't seen the video. I knew that this was going to be something we would talk. I don't see how these two characters are related. So, but I would be interested to see what you do, you and the rest of the cult of Tweaker as well.
Can
I
understand
gotta actually get people
what
to
mistakes
not.
to
They gotta
avoid
be
so that
motivated to do it,
you
and
don't
that's
make
hard to do.
ugly
You
little
have
games.
audio
It's
leak.
important to have a good presentation with your
Oh,
game.
no audio leak. It's
because
just a video
the
playing. I'm sorry. I'm
characters
still. I'm really,
like this
I'm really
are what's
tired, man.
bring
Okay,
in
I
the
just.
people. You can have a great story, but
So
no
they're
one
doing
cares
they're
the
doing a whole
story
bunch
if the
of
game doesn't.
like
Real quick, because I'm not gonna go by
look
every
at that.
single one. He looks like he'd be in the background, a life
so there's
vest,
full tutorials
the
basically.
heavy weapons guy.
So
mm,
there's a I love what this video is doing. I've seen the video, but there's a couple things that get lost when you're telling people to remake these things, and it's they will not keep the spirit of what's there. They'll just say, "I like the big jacket, therefore I'll make another person with a big jacket."
that's the spirit, yeah. Whereas you would use that more. That's why I was like, I don't see how these two are related.
They aren't.
Mhm.
Or at least they don't look like so.
The jacket
The
is
big
related.
thing.
There you go. That's you had to tell me. Yeah.
What if the
I
jacket
will
is
just-
a parasite that jumps from one person to another and possesses them? Therefore, it's the same character. You play as the jacket, and you can
That'd be
switch
awesome.
to other characters, heroes.
So what I want to go back to is I'm going to appeal back to Overwatch and their designs, because I think even though I hate Overwatch very much so, that game sucks, it's garbage, the designs are peak. It is hard to say that they aren't. You're just coping otherwise. Those designs are really good at the design principles I'm talking about with the silhouette. You need to have, for a game that is specifically based around character selection, there are two major things that you need to do: theme and design that is linked with theme. They need to be larger than life. These characters are not larger than life. They're just large in
They're
general.
large.
Take a lesson from Team Fortress 2, by the way. They did this
Yes.
absolutely amazingly. That should be the
Oh,
thing you
funny
study.
thing about
you
this
learn
character.
from.
This character is ripped off from another Japanese artist.
Really?
Yes, I know this because this design right here, pretty much I follow someone on Twitter that X. I follow someone that one of their original characters before this character came out. I'm talking like 4 years ago. They've been an astronaut girl exactly like this, but minus the boots. Even the color scheme is the same.
That's not nice.
But
okay.
these are people. These are characters in Overwatch 2.
Yes.
Right. I don't recognize this from normal Overwatch.
Yeah, she's brand new. Overwatch 2 is Overwatch because they removed Overwatch from being able to be played ever again.
Lame.
Oh yeah, that's the story.
Because when I think of Overwatch, I think of this one here.
Yeah, Tracer.
These guys. Yeah, Tracer.
Tracer, Mercy, Reinhardt, May. May is one of my favorite character designs. I think she's an awesome representation of someone that does ice-themed powers. Lucio in the background.
Yeah, I watched this guy play on Twitch. He was so fast with this character. It was impossible. I just didn't know how the hell. Anyway, that I used to watch Overwatch. I'd never played it. Okay, I tried once and then I left it. But yeah, I watched it at least. It was fun to watch. People got very
I played
upset
it for multiple years, and that's why I hate it.
So, well, yes, you see, that's also what I saw. Is I watched it because I saw how angry absolutely every player and everyone streaming it was getting. So
Yes.
I was there for it. Just like, you know what, rage.
Because this is a game that unlocked, well, more specifically, it's a game that breached containment on a very specific type of player, and that's the MOBA players. The people that play League of Legends get really freaking angry, and this has the same effect on how you choose your hero. If you don't do what everyone else demands you to do, which you better play your role and play it well, you're trash. You're going to get the most toxic hits. Yes.
I overwatched it. Thank you, darling. That's a very good. Thank you for that pun. That's very good. But now, so you're saying that they can, if they redesigned these characters, then maybe Concord would be better. But the main criticism I heard about it before was that it's actually just too much of. It doesn't even matter how crappy or how the characters is. Actually, the game itself is just trying to be Overwatch. So what's the point?
Yes, that is a problem, which means that the only distinction that they would be able to make would be design.
Okay.
So if you're trying to make an Overwatch clone, which many exist, but the thing is that they're also free to play, not $40.
Okay.
You've got to win on design, because people will play a game for how pretty it looks.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Will they stay on a game for how pretty it looks? That's a different question. But I don't like Red Dead Redemption 2, and that's a really pretty game. So
you don't like it? Okay,
nope,
that's
not
fine,
my kind of game. I don't think you're okay with me saying I don't like that.
It's okay as long as you like. You know what? At least you're not saying that about Monster Hunter. No, if he doesn't like Monster Hunter. No, if he had to go against Monster.
Monster Hunter, yeah.
No, if you had a problem with Monster Hunter, then I think we'd have a problem. But
I would no longer be a thinker.
Yeah,
just right off the show.
She will send the cats after you.
But that's actually the next thing I wanted to talk about.
What? Monster Hunter?
So Monster Hunter, yes. There was some controversy regarding Monster Hunter because you see, Monster Hunter World did a fantastic job of bringing a niche franchise to the West.
Normies! Okay? Yeah.
Did a great job. Then Monster Hunter Rise actually skyrocketed even faster in terms of popularity. I love that game. Monster Hunter Rise is fantastic.
Yeah.
But
I love them both.
Here's the thing. It brought in an entire new level of new people that have no idea what this franchise is.
Yes.
And I'm completely fine. I love that. I celebrate it. Other fans of Monster Hunter, on the other hand,
no, you're treasure God.
Exactly. You see, the problem of being a Monster Hunter fan is that a lot of Monster Hunter fans hate other Monster Hunter fans for being quote not real fans.
Oh yeah.
Because they've only played the newest game. And this is actually something I'm noticing with Monster Hunter Wilds, as all the trailers are coming out for that game. I'm seeing a lot of people that are moralizing decisions that were made by the developers that everyone has been asking for if they've been a fan of Monster Hunter for more than 5 years.
Yeah, you're not allowed. You're not a real fan, so you're not allowed to. Well, 5 years is Monster Hunter World time, yeah.
So, what I'm talking about
that
is
was the first Monster Hunter I played. I know I'm a normie in Monster Hunter terms.
That's okay. Like, I played Monster Hunter a little bit before World, and then World is what really made me a fan.
I got the little
look at that
3D thingy.
I cannot tell that it's 3D. Oh, I can actually.
Yeah, there.
Nice. You know, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, those were everywhere. We need more of those. More of those back.
I'm definitely buying a physical. I hope I can get a physical copy by the time. Well, I'm going to buy something that's physical.
Of course. But the issues that people are bringing up with Monster Hunter Wilds, one is that there's too many brown characters. And like, have you played any of the series? Like, it's always in
too many brown characters.
Yes, they're being accused of this being just like any other like woke,
diversified,
DEI, blah blah blah, like too diverse, blah blah blah. When the game has always had super diverse locales and super diverse people. Because you're visiting an area that is nothing like where you are currently. It's the whole point. But then on the other side of that, they finally did one specific thing that I'm very much a fan of. As someone who plays Monster Hunter because I want to look cool, they removed gender-specific armor. Because before, if you had a female model or a male model, you would get different looking armor.
Yep.
Now you get the male and the female armor, but it works on both models.
Yeah, if you like
that, amazing.
That's actually a really great idea.
Yes, they finally listened to the community when the community was like, please, 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 please add this in. Please, 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 God, please. Because some armor looks a lot cooler on guys than girls, and vice versa.
Vice versa, yeah. Most of the time, the girls ones looked amazing to me, but that's because,
I love the female armors,
yeah.
except for one thing. Every single armor has to have exposed inner thigh. I don't know what it is about the developers and wanting everything to be chaps. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah,
Soft
yeah.
meat.
They just want to see the soft inner thigh, which
Let's,
not
let's
complaining,
what's one
but
that you,
complaining.
the
Soft pull.
Odogaron, Monster Hunter Worlds, armor, female versus male. Let's see. I remember that one was a different one.
Yes, Rise did give you the male crop top with the abs exposed because it is a Japanese ninja game. It's very much like that is the theme that it was trying to go for. But the thing is, I want some more female type armors that could be universal. I want to slut up my man. That's what I want to say. I'm saying I want to slut up my man. There you go.
And I like the link. I want to open the image in the new tab. Just hold on. There we go.
Clip that.
The example. Just silly things like, and also not always. Hey, look, you like your thing about open thighs. Ha.
There's the Odogaron armor. Let's look at that.
So
I'll take open hips over exposed inner thigh any day.
yeah. I like the other one where they had the mask on the side. There is
Yeah,
another
the B
configuration
one.
where the mask
Yeah.
goes sideways. But yeah, this is the male one. You get pigtails.
Looks great.
Anyway, we could go on about Monster Hunter forever. We can do a whole thing on Monster Hunter one day if we really want.
As long as we're playing Monster Hunter while thinking on it, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. We'll do a Blaine's
We
escape.
can do an
format.
ecology tour.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that idea. That's cool. And we could, oh my god, we could read through it. Anyway, sorry guys. But last thing for gaming. So that was Concord we spoke about, but hello, Dustborn. Okay, so Concord has completely. The reason that I heard about Concord, I got confused with is Dustborn Concord because both were receiving so much hate. And okay, so Concord's the one that got shut down. And how does the game get? Can you explain to me? How does the game get shut down? It's just not.
It crashed in
making...
France.
I can tell you why, actually. So,
Okay,
in terms of money, in terms of money, my mouth
It was
is
like
flubbing
money
so
and
much.
numbers in one. Like in terms of numbers.
So, in terms of numbers, what was it? There was only 43,000 copies sold in a 2-week time, and that does not translate to the over $8 million that it took to make the game.
So
in terms of numbers,
it does not make sense to keep it live.
Yeah, that's the decision. They're actually are refunding everyone their copies.
Wow.
Well, at least something.
So I mean that prompted me. I was going to say, shall we have a whole thing on failure? And that's literally why, because I was like, what shall we do with this topic to make it more meaningful? It's like that's got to be very difficult to be part of that team. Having worked on that for 8 years and all of that, and then this is it. You're the laughing stock.
I've seen a lot of visceral reactions. Hey, look, it looks better. But like, you could even remove the cleavage. I like the hair shapes specifically. I think the hair shapes look better.
Oh my goodness.
The hair. Okay, now please,
come on.
The
That's
hair.
a bit too
Focus
much.
on the something else. Okay, it's not just boobs. Add
look at that. Looks
everything.
awesome.
Okay, that's much better.
They even kept the hair.
You can make things look cool without needing to be boobs or fat or whatever. Just follow I don't know how to explain it. Have a design that just flows. I don't know. Not designer.
The highest time. What was it called? So the highest amount of players that played Concord at any point in time. Highest amount of players that played Concord at any point in time was 600.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's really bad. This is really bad.
Wasn't Dustborn worse?
So Dustborn, one is not a multiplayer game. I believe it's a single player game, and there's a couple interesting things about that. That was a game that was funded by multiple governments. It was paid for via taxpayer money. It's an interesting thing with that.
No, who was it? I think it was somebody in chat was saying that also taxpayer money was spent on Concord.
I haven't heard that about Concord. That's news to me, but I know Dustborn. It was funded by the EU.
Don't need pants at all. You were talking about open thighs. Jesus.
She looks like Cammy from Street Fighter.
You move an inch and her lips coming out there. Come on.
That's what people want. You don't get it.
Yes, that's
this is cute.
That still looks horrifying to me.
No,
what's with the beard?
They're making a joke about it.
What's with the Mr. T beard? I'm sorry.
It has to be everything in one. That's why. Yeah.
Anyway.
See wait. Go back to that image that you just clicked.
That has consistent art design. Yeah. Not that. The other one.
These look
not the abomination, please.
That one.
Yeah.
So I actually don't have a problem with this design, other than it looks like a someone that, what was it called? Not fetal alcohol syndrome, but like they look like a baby throughout their life. Like that's kind of what they look like.
You just like it because it has the BMO pink eyes thing.
No.
This one has a consistent art design. Though,
also, look at how they're gripping that gun.
Yeah, what's happening?
Don't move your eyes down because you will receive pain directly injected into your retinas. Don't look at
No. Hold on. I'll make points for I'll just hold on. You guys won't be able to
ultimately,
hear it. Yeah.
I think appealing to Concord just had bad looking designs, and I think that lended to a lot of people saying, I'm not going to play this game, on top of it just being an Overwatch clone.
You piled on. It's not just one single critical flaw. It's you add on problems onto problems onto problems until it can no longer function.
Yeah, but it's just what makes this any different from Overwatch. You can even see
it literally does. Like as somebody like with the voiced clips and things, I'm actually like, oh, is this just Overwatch? Yeah.
And I'm sure that the gameplay is fine. It's just what makes it any different. What makes it any different or unique?
Like I'm expecting a Tanoon or something. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's enough about gaming. We've got to get serious now and talk about Temple.
Oh boy.
Gaming is serious.
So we had hey Rex. Glad to see you here. Glad you made it. So before stream, we was it Bimo? You were saying, or somebody, one of you guys was saying that Temple had said something against Ukraine.
That was me. I have the image.
No, for Ukraine now.
Yeah, that was me.
So let me follow this.
They're all Bimo.
They're all
it's Bimo all the way down. Yep.
So, okay. With that being said, this is something that
we're all Bimo now.
This is how Destiny opens his video on this.
This is insane.
He
just released a statement on Twitter.
Oh man, I hate Destiny so much.
Really expensive.
I do too.
Bring them on board. It would need to be closer to 5 million yearly for him to be interested.
Ukraine is the
he plays this several times, or not several times. He plays Simple saying this. So listen.
As much as
this country, Ukraine is our enemy.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake, how can you say stupid shit like that?
I know what I've seen this clip. I've also seen the podcast that this was. And this is not taken out of context. This was him being frustrated because we were sending so much money in assets to Ukraine instead of focusing on
It's not being done instead. That's the stupid part. People like to say like, why not Ukraine? Focus on the wildfires. Border, not Ukraine. Focus on the border. These people, I've seen them every single time. They don't understand what they are talking about. They are repeating talking points from insane, stupid either Russia bots or paid. Like, it's not. You can give away old trash that you don't use anymore, and also eat food. Perfect
thing to talk about then, because let's get through this clip first, and then Hydra, I want you to talk about it, because we've had this conversation off stream. I understand where you're coming from, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah, let's air it out.
Our nation right now is Ukraine, and we should apologize to Russia.
I just wouldn't have expected this much money to be invested in this.
That's what happens when you're a free thinker.
Dave Rubin, I think, is his
name.
Hey,
they name dropped us.
Oh my god.
Actually retarded? Or is he like a paid dude?
My assumption would be that like people make too much money in the space to be paid off by Russia.
Yeah, okay.
These people might 1,000 USD. People should have the Russia or just retarded.
Quick thing.
I don't know.
Quick thing. All of these people have not been implicated in this. There are only 2 people that have been actually implicated in this in the indictment, and that is Lauren Chen and her husband.
No, it's.
What about Tim?
It's Tenet Media.
So
it was listed.
So Tenet Media, which is owned by Lauren Chen and her husband, and the indictment specifically talks about Chen and her husband. Other than that, none of these other guys are actually mentioned.
They
I tried to do.
Yeah, but they so
number.
they all work for Tenet Media.
Yes, they do all work for Tenet Media. But does that mean that they were paid to talk about Russia? There is no proof of such a thing.
Why would they have explicit numbers like Tim Pool making 100,000 a month and somebody making 5 million a year?
So I looked at the indictment, and Tim Pool's name isn't in it at all.
Right, his name's not listed in the. They change it to like John Doe or something, but somebody did the work that the subscriber number is Tim Pool.
I haven't seen that personally, but I just know I looked at the indictment, and the only people that are directly stated to have taken money were the Chens. And I can't really go off of the other stuff because I guess I haven't seen that part.
If they're getting paid by the Chens and the Chens are getting paid by Russia,
that's still really fucking bad.
Does that make that much of a difference?
Absolutely, yes. I think it does, because we have no proof that they have been told you must say this. It's just an indictment, so there's more trial to happen, and more could come out that would make me change my position on this.
There used to be this thing called conflict of interest.
Yes, and I agree with you. There's a conflict. No, you don't understand my point. Let me try to post my position here. It has not been directly stated that these people have been told what to say by Lauren Chen. And that's why I cannot say that they are Russian shills spitting out Russian propaganda. Because there's no proof
I could
of
see
such a
if they
thing so
never
far.
spoke about Russia one way or another, but because they've like the thing you just played about Ukraine's our enemy, that directly conflicts with their financial interest.
I do agree that could be very concerning. I'm waiting for the trial to show more.
Yeah, there is so much to unpack here. There's so much I want to say. Holy fuck.
Focus.
First, I'm going to state my bias here. I abhor Tim Pool. I think he's terrible. Really, really terrible.
Sure.
Didn't he say something to the effect of Tenet Media just wanted to like host one of his shows?
Yes, that's how it is.
And that was the extent.
It's a contract for him putting a show on Tenet Media.
Gotcha. Okay, that's all. Tim Pool sucks.
I want to say I am not a fan of Tim Pool. I haven't watched him in 3 years. I'm not a fan of him. I don't like him that much, but it's a bit much right now for me to say for sure that this dude is being paid to spout Russian propaganda.
He's certainly spouting Russian propaganda. The question is he being paid for it? Because the talking points that he repeats over and over and over again can be all traced down, and I did this myself numerous times, traced down to botnets or accounts directly owned by the Kremlin or the Russian Defense Ministry. So he is repeating Russian propaganda talking points, especially the secure the border before Ukraine, or Hawaii wildfires, that before Ukraine. Because people continuously like to pretend like you cannot help a foreign nation in trouble and solve problems at home because you just split in two and create a singularity, because it's impossible. Or that, we are somehow, the NATO is somehow dropping fat stacks of cash on Ukraine and it's never gonna, change anything. And then that money should be used at home because look, big number, big aid sent to Ukraine, big number is needed at home instead of Ukraine. That's the level of logic these people are thinking. And if I would like to quickly explain, while you can do both at the same time, the aid that is being given to Ukraine is incredibly old, outdated trash that basically nobody needs anymore.
It's in assets, right? It's not in actual funds.
No, it's not. The whole point is that the stuff that is being sent to Ukraine would be melted down for scrap, disassembled safely, or thrown into the ocean to be safely disposed of. And the safe disposal process, such as missiles that will go bad, tanks that need to be scrapped, all of this, for this equipment will and would cost a lot more than just giving it to someone who will use it up. This way, the United States is saving millions, if not billions, I don't know the exact number, but a shitload of money in using this way, especially NATO as a NATO alliance, in giving equipment away in this manner, which is very important because you guys, I'm speaking colloquially to the US, are a bit of an economic pickle and can't afford to get more military spending exactly. So getting rid of
watch it happen
stuff in a way that I know, but then you can't complain about Biden gas or never expensive. You can't do that at the same time. Okay, you can't hold that position.
Well,
but you can get rid of like pre-Desert Storm era equipment that has been used since the 70s non-stop, and now finally give it to someone without like destroying your economy at home. It's just, I don't know how people are talking about how, well, we need to focus on the southern border and send money there. Send money to Americans first. America first. Don't you understand? Look at it. This article says $10 billion in aid to Ukraine. I don't understand. Like, if I give away my PC or my laptop that I used for 10 years nonstop, it only had some problem with these parts, and then that got replaced. I can't give it away and say, see, I sent, I don't know, $1,000 to BMO. No, you sent a laptop that once upon a time, 10 years ago.
Please tell me you didn't send that in the mail. I would never see it.
Was worth $10,000. This is very simple logic, but when you're either ideologically biased or paid to not think, you will coast by this. It's yes, Lucifer, I am invested in this because I'm a military nerd and I nerd out about military stuff. And I rage and cringe whenever the media looks at a self-propelled anti-air vehicle and says, oh, yes, that's a tank. I was like, Germany is to send Gepard tanks to Ukraine. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to fucking lose it. What else?
Question. Why is it Russian propaganda to say focus on the border, not on Ukraine?
Because they pretend, no, it's not necessarily the way they are saying it is Russian propaganda. They say that 10 million to Ukraine, 10 billion to Ukraine, spend that 10 billion on the border. That is Russian propaganda because that very specific narrative, the first ever comments made on that topic were made by Russian bot networks, and it spread from there and was picked up by political movements and politicians.
I have a question on top of that when you're done.
The reason why that is propaganda is because you can absolutely focus on a border and it would not impact Ukraine whatsoever. Question. Go.
It can be both.
It is both. They're causing dissension in the country. They're
for sure.
both sides of the argument. And this is it. Commentator 1 and commentator 2. One is Dave Rubin. One is Tim Pool.
Oh, God damn it. V is live on this issue right now. Can I leave you guys to argue? I want to go and watch.
Yes,
This is your show,
it's a
man.
nation's primary priority to focus its own citizens, and that's exactly why giving aid to Ukraine, effectively funding them via old military equipment, is so important. Is because it weakens and gets rid of your enemy without actual boots on the ground. Because if Russia is allowed to continue, sooner or later the United States will be dragged into a direct conflict, and that will fuck off everything. There will be constrictions, hundreds of thousands of deaths, etc. What you can just expect from an enormous global conflict. But you can prevent all that right now, because we are still in the equivalent of like World War II Sudetenland is demanded by Hitler in exchange for peace situation.
Question.
So you can put your own citizens first by giving away stuff that would be thrown away instead to someone.
Before we get a little too far away from the first question I asked,
Yes.
The anti-war, we shouldn't be doing this, has been around since before Vietnam, and it's very similar
been around
to
the world, but
the Vietnam War and all of that.
Yep.
Was that propaganda? Was that like Russian propaganda at that point?
No, but it
or-
was funded. It was a narrative that was originally funded by Russia, but it was picked up from a separate source thanks to a cultural
And just to be clear, you're not talking about the Vietnam War. You're talking about the Ukraine War stuff that says that is funded by
Yes.
the Russians for some reason.
Yes, the whole
Okay.
I'm not saying people can't come to the conclusion, oh, we should focus on the border instead on their own. I'm saying that it's a stupid thing to say, and Russia pays people to say it. You can
But
technically
two things
say,
can be true at once here, though, right?
yes, they can.
Okay, because shouldn't the American government focus on the needs of its citizens as well as they can also send assets and funding over to a place that is being attacked by one of their enemies?
And that's how they focus on the need of their own citizens, because the citizens' lives is helped by saving money and preventing them from further hardship.
How do you
But
think
when-
American citizens are informed that they call their?
They are
local
not, but this
people?
is the way to
Well,
put America
bingo.
first, actually.
So when people call and they get this information that this politician shouldn't vote for support to Ukraine, where are they getting the information that they have?
From a guy they already like.
And that would be somebody who's spitting propaganda?
No, but it's possible that they are stupid or spreading propaganda, and a lot of them are. That's one
We're
idea.
really we're gonna
No,
dual stream here.
It's not his stream, it's his video. There are some questions
I
that,
thought
that he
I
asked.
hoped I could further explain the situation, but sure, okay.
No, you can't. Please do, but we'll get to this. So I'll take this off the screen. We'll get to it because
The
I
lack
want
of
to see
F6.
your-
I just don't like how people say half-true things in the chat, okay? The lack of F-16s being donated, they have to be replaced by more advanced fighters like the S-35s and later require even more maintenance, etc. Ergo, companies wasting more money on the military. Wrong. F-16 is a fully outdated legacy fighter, and believe it or not, parts and maintenance can be more difficult for old stuff. For example, I am using a laptop that is 10 years old, but it is really good and it has served me really well and I had zero problems with it. But if the keyboard now breaks, finding a spare part for that one is going to be really hard because most of the production is not running for it. I have to search somewhere in a pile or cannibalize some other equipment. Same with stuff like the F-22. It's really good, but it's really old, and the only way to get more spare parts is to cannibalize stuff for it because the production lines are gone. The F-16 is in a similar situation. It is fully outdated, and yes, the ones that are being donated by European nations, the F-16s, are going to be replaced by F-35s, but that doesn't mean that a company is wasting more money on the military. That is actually saving money because the upkeep of already existing oil tech can cost so much more in not just funds, but other resources, logistics, politics, etc., especially at the F-16. Then instead of replacing them with the S-35, not only you get like a world of improvement, like 100 times better at lots of different shits, you also save a lot of money because now the point has reached with the new block, I don't even know what the newest block of the F-35 is called, that it's actually cheaper than a lot of other competition because the development has been overdriven to such a level that now it is much, much cheaper to get than a bunch of other planes that are even outdated. Really, the F-35 with its advanced computer radar-absorbing material lace body is less costlier than an advanced upgrade the F-16 variants. Yes, in the long term, it is. You save money on it. Exactly. And as the F-35 has its own ridiculous absorbent material and the literally made out of like diamond, whatever the fuck it's called under the nose, I forget the name for it. Yes, it is actually more cost effective to have those than the F-16s at this point. Nations are saving money that are switching, yes. Because the F-16 has reached the Arleigh Burke, jokingly called the Arleigh Brick level of problems, where you just want to infinitely upgrade one thing to keep up with the newest demands, and you reach a problem where you can't shove more things in, and the existing systems aren't compatible with newer technologies. So you can just upgrade the F-16 indefinitely, but you won't be able to physically fit the new things into it, or the software won't be compatible, etc., etc. And then you have to alter the chassis, the aerodynamics. That will be so expensive. You are restricted because you're working with an existing design. The engine and the old outdated compartments have specific requirements with maintenance. Even the bolt type is something that's not even produced anymore, or it's in one specific place and costs 16K for just one bolt, instead of you can have this brand new bolt that is like, what, 100 per piece. And it's like, this is actually the military corruption. Zero fucks.
I have something to say that's a lot more important than any of this.
Go ahead and say it. I shouldn't be ranting anyway.
My cat learned how to open the front door of my house.
Ellie's cats do that.
Evolution.
Ellie's got so she rescued another cat, and one of the cats that has learned that. he made the escape. So once they learn that, gotta lock your doors. Sorry. That's it.
I just locked the door because I just caught the dude hanging from the knob.
Oh, you got the dude hanging from the knob. That is such a cool expression.
I'm glad that he didn't get out.
The door was about to open. Like, it was wild because he was like kicking. That's why I left. I said, I was like, I'll be right back, because I heard like weird kicking from the door. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? I open my door, go down there, and downstairs is where the door is. There's a little bit of a stairway. And I see this stupid gray cat just holding on for dear life onto this.
It's like, let me out,
let me out. Yes.
Rex Rectum, you are wrong. You can't just compare air superiority fighter to stealth strike fighter to stealth air superiority fighter next to each other. I understand, and in a coolness factor or like sheer dogfight potential, it's no, even in dogfight potential, it's different, because the F-16 can out dogfight the F-35, but it's a stealth plane, so it won't even be seen by the F-16 and can snipe it from like 600 kilometers away. So it's sure, it's like comparing apples to oranges. I disagree, says Nico. In the long term, it is cheaper only when the production isn't being pressured by wars. Literally, aero engine production is being hindered across the world, and it's not getting cheaper. You are factually wrong. The F-13 has gotten so much cheaper, and that happened when there were no wars going on in Europe and the Middle East.
I love that.
There were no wars happening in the Middle East at some point?
Not the big scale wars that are happening right now. The terrorist horseshit always happens. There is never peace in the Middle East, but directly war being declared on each other with countries and full-scale military conflict is not always known. It goes up and down, up and down. Conflict is always growing because the Middle East is a fucking Middle East, and there's always going to be dudes shouting religious texts and shooting each other over there, for fuck's sake, because that place just can't be normal.
The best food in the world.
That is also true. That probably helps with the constant fighting. An army
great
hummus.
Great
so
shawarma.
Hydra, what is the cost-benefit ratio to the money?
Hi,
Hi, Peter.
Yeah,
I have a couple
what's up?
I have a couple of questions. Again, stating my bias here, I would want more funding for border security. Just to say that up front. This might sound naive or uninformed, but do we not like set budgets for various different uses? Do we not have a foreign aid budget and a domestic
Yes.
budget. Like, why are we assuming that that money would have gone to the border instead, beyond us saying that we want more border security?
By the party that champions low budget spending for governments, by the way. I love the hypocrisy in this, that the guys who are always on about we have to cut government spending, it's so, the budget is too much corruption, too many people spending, they're throwing money into the fires, my tax money is being wasted, are now all of a sudden, oh no, we got to spend all of this money on this specifically. And also,
make sure you're answering his question.
you did it again. You said all of this money being spent. It's not money going to Ukraine. What is the cost-benefit ratio to the money going to Ukraine? Money shouldn't really be sent to Ukraine because they don't have that much use for it now. Otherwise, they can wipe their ass with it or bandage the wounds with the cash. I don't fucking know. It's equipment mainly that's being sent and should be sent. It's not money.
So does America allocate budget categorically, by category?
If it doesn't already, it really should.
It does. That's the answer. It does do that. Yes.
And maybe just so we end this portion of the conversation over before we go to the simple stuff. This is going to probably take another 10 minutes, but here, what do you think of this?
Hydra, what is the cost-benefit ratio to the money going to Ukraine? I just answered that the money is not being sent to Ukraine, and it shouldn't be. It's equipment. This is old equipment that would literally be trashed. And not only trashed, very expensively trashed. And it instead can be cheaply, for no money and a lot of political capital, be given away. And you just unhighlighted it. Hold on, where was it? Will American citizens have a better life because all of this money being spent? American citizens will have a much better life for all of this old trash being thrown out instead of it being thrown into the ocean or burned or scrapped, because it will save you a lot of money in an economy that is struggling, and it will uphold your geopolitical interests. And it has so far already crippled a nation that has dedicated the last 50 years of its existence to destroying you.
Yeah, so presumably a strong Russia and a weak Ukraine would be bad for America and American interests.
Especially since Ukraine's so bad. Before the war broke out, the Ukrainian people were completely torn. But after the war broke out, Finland joined NATO, Sweden joined NATO, Europe united, except for the traitors like Turkey and Hungary, who should be kicked out, but that's another story. And Ukraine itself also wants to join it, and all of these so independent buffer border states all of a sudden want to belong to a military alliance, because guess what? Even if you have a non-military alliance agreement with Russia and the US, that if one of them invades them, the other one will join and defend them with true boots on the ground, military involvement, the United States decided to not follow up on that agreement. So no, you already are setting a bad precedent. And if you decide to not give away, literally the rotting away military equipment and just trash it expensively, your economy will tank further, and people will look at you even more badly internationally, which will result in so-called overseas allies reactivating their nuclear programs, because they realize that the only way to be safe is to have the big red deterrent. And I would rather live in a world with less nukes than in one with more.
Yeah, so I remember when all of this started, there were a lot of conservative commentators on the younger side who were saying we weren't around when we made these promises to Ukraine, so we shouldn't have to honor them. And I'm like, well, by that logic, we don't have to honor the Bill of Rights.
Yes, this way of thinking would result in the collapse of modern society immediately, because I wasn't around when the first theft or killing was declared to be a bad thing. Why shouldn't I be allowed to rape and pillage and murder through my neighborhood? But Nico, hold on, let me reply to just the message that was started by Kitty, because it's important. Many of the tanks, missiles, and fighters had a far longer shelf life, and they weren't going to be trashed, all of them at once in 2021. You're right that they have a longer shelf life, but they get degraded to the point where it costs so much to upkeep them, and they give barely anything. And no, not all of them is going to be trashed all at once in 2021. 2021, but the vast majority of them go out of use between 2010 and 2030. And it is a more effective way, both monetarily, economically, politically, and militarily, to give them a way into a conflict where they will be used up very quickly, and one last time they can shine, so to speak. And even out of F-16, there are only like 10 to 20 or even 16, 15 F-16s in Ukraine. So the military aid that is being sent is such a pathetic
that's where the ghost of Kiev
what
came
we had, that it's such an obsession over basically a tiny amount of rotten food being given to a starving homeless man instead of it being thrown out into the trash by a restaurant waiter that just finished their work. That's the situation, basically. Or you give them a piece of rotting pizza instead of throwing it in the trash. You wasted company funds. You are a bad employee. It's like, no, you didn't waste nothing. You did the right thing, morally speaking.
So the little experience I have with military involvement in my family has been revolving around military assets and how they're allocated between bases. And when it came to guns and ammo and trucks, every year these things were either given away or trashed, so that the military could keep their funding the same way and keep it consistent. Because otherwise the upkeep, just like what Hydra was saying, would be a waste of time and energy and money.
Yeah,
they would
and
actually
also
go through every round that the military would hold in those bases. Like every bullet would be fired so that they could get the funding for the next year to probably, it was the best day to be on base at that time because you would get to be able to shoot as many bullets as you wanted at the shooting range.
And there are a bunch of ones that are more expensive to upkeep and just not worth to hang on to because they are basically they are just gathering dust in a warehouse. Like there are so many ammunitions for the A10 big brrrt gun that basically no one uses, that is just sitting a bunch of warehouses just full of ammunition for the 30mm General Electric. And people are just begging for it to be shot at some target somewhere. And another good example of what happens if you were to
the answer is no, AJ.
If you were to just hang around and not sell them, the problem is that corruption would fester. For example, the army has hung on to its Apache attack helicopters for far longer than it should have. I'm pretty sure I would say they are fully outdated at this point, and better helicopters are needed immediately, but lots of experts share that opinion. But because they decided to hang on to that helicopter instead, the corruption has reached a point where there is only a couple of manufacturing lines left that provide the necessary parts for the rotors of the Apache attack helicopters. And because they know they are the only ones and they have no competition, they can charge absolutely ridiculous prices, which overinflates the military budgets to the point where you have a literal screw cost 15K. Because there is only one way to get it from one manufacturing line because it's so old and it's a legacy component. So this is why it is important and necessary to not only switch out for newer equipment for the new capabilities, but also to crack down on some of the hyper oversized military budget that you guys have. And you can do all of this with a single move. But because a couple internet influencers cried and bitched and moaned about how you can't do this and fix the border at the same time, you just roll over and don't have it, according to some politicians.
Nico's most recent message seems to be in agreement with what you just said and what we've been saying about why Ukraine is being given old assets from America.
Even old military assets are assets and pose a threat to both Russia and Ukraine, and using Soviet-era stuff in their
deadliest. Yeah.
So not quite.
That's an argument for why America should be giving them these things.
Yes, I understand, but it's also not quite true. It's yes, they pose a threat, but only to third world countries. That's how bad they are at this point. I'm sorry, the F-16 is not going to go up against the newest Chinese fighters. It's just not going to cut it. It's going to be trashed. Like, it's fully outdated and gone. The only reason the F-16 has such a big impact in Ukraine is because they are facing off against Russia, militaries that is famous for its incompetence, decadence, and corruption, and how they just like to throw money and people at stuff until they run out of one of them. And yeah, they're both using Soviet-era stuff, but because Ukraine has a government that is not a dictatorship, but almost as corrupt as Russia, but not a dictatorship, and not run by the will of one man, they could actually fix some of their Soviet-era equipment so that it functions better. A good example of this, I'm not going to bore you any longer, so I'm just going to give you the TLDR. Russian tanks have terrible autoloaders that cause them to explode when slightly poked from the sides. Ukraine managed to fix this in their upload very quickly, with barely any funding. Russia has far more funding, far more factories, far more tanks, but still couldn't fix this problem after basically 30, 40 years. That's the difference. So yes, they both use Soviet-era equipment, but one of them has more flexibility in how they can change and upgrade and adapt it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but no. Yes, Lucifer, I'm sorry. I'm giving a complex answer. Yes, that's it.
So Zero Fucks says, but if we're low on excess stock, what do we do when we get pulled into the next conflict? Israel, Taiwan, God forbid, and attack domestically. This is implying that we have low excess stock. This is replaced stock, outdated stock. This is stuff that we're holding in the back specifically for selling to other countries. This is how it's been for a very long time.
Like Vietnam era IFVs or the M, whatever, this M16, I don't even forget what it's called. You can slap a mortar onto it, an anti-aircraft gun onto it, you can turn it into an APC. This is stuff that has been around since the Vietnam War. Then you have like tens of thousands of them in warehouses. This is not going to be used in a war where the US goes to war. It would be stupid. It hangs around so it can be given away for political clout or financial gain. And there is a perfect opportunity for it right now. Oh, selling SONV gets something in return. Yes, you do. It's just sometimes you don't get paid in with cash. You get paid in honor.
Or goodwill, good trade relations.
Political support, being able to turn a former Russian state against your common enemy, alliances, political clout. An entire nation now being sympathetic to you, whereas opposed just 8 years ago, relationships were completely frosty. Now they want to be buddies. That's an achievement.
Yeah, I understand that I use the word selling, Zero Fucks, because that's what we do. It is an agreement. We are selling these assets to them.
Yes.
Anyways, this was about Tim Pool, right?
Yeah, let's get back on track. I did it for long enough.
I have a fun image that I'm trying to bring up that I pulled from his stream today.
Mm-hmm.
Because we just saw on that Destiny video what he had to say about Ukraine, but he seems to have pivoted a little bit, at least in this beautiful screenshot I was able to pull. I wasn't able to grab the whole thing, but the very
so just remember, Tim
Pool
Pool started out by saying Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is the greatest.
That's the video that I
greatest enemy.
To show. Yeah.
So that was the original position. Now he changed it. Let's listen to it.
Read.
Well, this isn't a video, but upon reflection, I now understand that Ukraine is our greatest ally. That's the big part. As the breadbasket of Europe and a peace-loving people, we cannot allow the fascist Russians to continue their crimes against humanity. Let me find the rest of the tweet in order to say the rest of it.
We must read our reference. Provide an additional 200 billion at one. No, money is you say $200 billion worth of aid, $200 billion worth of equipment. You don't say $200 billion because then you just what is Kyiv gonna do when they are under fire by the Russian military and all of a sudden just banknotes start raining from the sky and I don't know, like a message flies over the horizon with a
that's the whole tweet
and an American flag saying you got this, bro. And it's like, what the fuck?
Okay, I gotta share specifically his beautiful so one thing that he always says is that you should never take his posts on Twitter seriously because, and I can show you why. I'll go back. This is his most recent tweet.
I am now pro-war. We must fund Israel and Ukraine. For fuck's sake.
Okay. Okay.
So this is probably just sarcastic.
It's not necessarily pro-war to want to help defend Israel and Ukraine.
Just a note. Yeah, just
I
a
love
note,
how
guys.
this is the same narrative that existed with World War II and Hitler.
Oh, he didn't delete it.
If we listen, if we go off topic again, I've spent the whole time that you guys were arguing. I made a beautiful video, and here it is.
Wonderful.
So the kazoo will call you back, okay? So
That's such a great idea. I love
that
it.
dude, it's just for the noise.
Elephant
The reason-
wrangler.
Yeah, blowing a kazoo.
Yeah.
It's genius.
But the cat's not blowing it. But I tried an AI
should
video
be.
showing the cat going. It didn't look good. So, yeah, that noise is means come back, thinkers, come back.
Yeah, it's the wrangler.
Wrangler.
Okay. So just to
You
keep
know
that in
what?
mind.
The cat should have held a gavel in one of its paws or something to, like, strike the.
Yeah, I'll change it. I'll change it. And if you go off topic again, I'll give you guys a few minutes, and then I'll change it, and then it'll come.
I'm sorry, people were saying stuff in a chat, and I have an urge to interact
it's a
with chat.
conversation.
Okay?
Where's Gray? Gray is busy today. He is on a trip.
He's being a filthy mustard.
Wow.
So okay, so that makes sense that he is being he's being sarcastic. That's
Yes,
Yeah.
because otherwise it would be a complete 180 on all
because
of his opinions.
yeah. And that
At
is
least you could
his
say he's consistent.
so that's his response to he's like that it's like now
Temple is not consistent at all.
No.
so that's his response to that's how he plays it. Well, am I not getting the joke? It's just
It
now I've
could
changed
be-
my mind because now I've been found out.
If I was him, I could understand the position of, like, hey, I am in the, like, Damocles' sword is hanging above my head, as some people are claiming with some sort of evidence and a potential court case that I have Russian funding. And I also previously sometimes said that you shouldn't take anything I say on Twitter seriously. I bet I can do damage control in a way where I pretend to have changed my mind and go against all of the narratives that would be potentially funded by Russia, while also those that know that not to take this seriously. That could be an idea. I don't know. I'm just spitballing over here.
We have a donation. Tim isn't a Russian shill. He just has a lot of values that align with their propaganda. And they are willing to pay for him to put out more content in that vein.
That still makes you propaganda.
Thanks, Wallace.
I'm still going to go out on a limb and say there is no proof so far
Yes,
that he is being paid to be a Russian shell.
This is an accusation of a court case. This is not proven yet. Like, it's important to remember this has not gone through the legal system. It's just a big thing, but we shall see if it stands the test of scrutiny.
Well, sorry. Nico accidentally deleted a reply. Like,
how dare you, Nico? Unmodded.
He is abusing that branch.
So what's looking... Sorry, what it's looking like here is by falsely portraying to commentator one and so if you guys were watching what I was doing earlier on the screen, commentator one and commentator two, as Charles was talking about, what people have done is looked at the number of subscribers, and that's how they found out that it could be Tim Pool or something like that. There's other reasons, I'm sure, but one of the things is they call them commentator one and commentator two. They don't call them Tim Pool or whatever, so he's not mentioned. But when they do talk about commentator one and commentator two, they talk about 2.4 million and 1.3 million YouTube subscribers. Tim Pool does have 1.35 or 37 or something, so do with that what you want. But what they are saying about these commentators is that they falsely portrayed to commentator one and commentator two, whichever those guys were, they were sponsored by a private investor named Ed. They fabricated this person to do it. So they were duped.
What a
They
Russian
made up someone. I like it.
Yeah.
The ambition.
Eduard Gregorian.
Yeah. In truth and in fact, Gregorian was a fictional persona. For example, during contract negotiations, Commentator 1 requested that Founder 1 provide a profile or article on Edward Gregorian. In response, Founder 1 sent Commentator 1 a one-page profile provided on another fictional persona purporting to represent Edward Gregorian.
Just say
Falsely
Edward.
describing. Yeah, Gregorian. Oh, Edward.
Eduard.
As an accomplished finance professional. So this is a big fraud.
I made up this person that is very accomplished and very much sponsored by
Can I
this
just
company.
say, whomever these people are, Commentator 1, Commentator 2, fucking stupid. Just because like they're asking for proof. Okay, who's this person? And they take the first source as oh, this is 100% who this person is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, media standards are low nowadays, but that is a low standard.
So who's the 2.4 million?
Could be Dave Rubin.
Because
I've seen a lot of people talking about Dave Rubin.
Simple 1.37.
The Rubin report.
Yeah, I had the misfortune of being.
2.45.
I saw some of his stuff too. Unfortunately, he was.
So
Dave Rubin is a funny example of seeing someone who used to work for like a hardcore leftist organization completely 180 flip.
Yeah.
I really want to.
Charles, where'd he go?
Yeah, Charles. Charles, we wore Charles out. I'm blaming BMO and Hydra for that. Thank you.
Wow, what the fuck? Come on.
Oh, I'm just joking. Relax. Last week you did the same thing. Then you were hardly speaking, Hydra. But please take that as a joke because that's what that was, Hydra. Relax.
I will purposely not take it as a joke because it's funnier.
Okay. So
This sounds like a crypto fraud, by the way. I made up this guy. It's therefore look at this impressive financial career this man had. He invested in my stuff. Therefore, you should too. Like
this, the company one. So there's companies and then there's another company. So it's not that they knew they were being funded by this. There was like an in between. It seems like. And I am with this that it's they didn't say, hey, here's your talking points, go and speak them. They said, oh, these people are espousing views that are beneficial to me.
Yes, I explained this before, but it wasn't off stream. It's possible, like there are many levels of being a propagandist. This is my opinion.
Different tiers of awareness.
Yes, you can be I experienced actually one of these levels. I was contacted by people with monetary offers, and in exchange they wanted me to say and post certain things in certain places. That is one level of propaganda, the highest, where you're literally being paid to say things and argue with people, for example, on the internet. Then there are lower levels, one of which is just give money and donate to people who happen to share or advocate for some of your most important interests. And there are multiple levels in between those. But as you go down, you reach like the lowest of the low, which is like covertly prop up organizations that are more beneficial to you in your most crucial interests. So you can go from top to bottom in how much you promote propaganda and in what way. Hello, Zax.
Hi, Zach.
So yes, that is like that is still, I would still view that as a propagandist who takes money from some people to say certain things, but the things he says, he was already saying, and it just so happens to align with something someone else wants. But that is still a propagandist, even though it's an immediate level, or like it's in the medium in the spectrum of things. In my opinion, again, this is my view, but I would still view it as a propagandist for this reason.
I'm going to, propagandist versus shill, because a shill is like they literally get their script Like when I hear the word show,
I mean,
that's when
you
think
can call it a propagandist too. For example, Joseph Goebbels was a propagandist, but he was literally told what to say by Hitler. So that's like the highest level. The most extreme you can possibly go is to be literally given a script word for word. And then you can also go to the very, very lowest point where it's some covert, somebody propping you up somewhere that you don't even know about. So yeah.
That's nice.
Oh,
that's
no,
nice.
not this again. Yes, Hitler advocated for some forms of vegetarianisms.
Okay,
He also advocated for the killing of Jews. So
I want us to get to the question.
Choose between Jews or animals. Which one would you rather eat?
Okay.
Sorry, you were saying, Kitty?
I just want to get to V's questions about this, which is I think what we look. Obviously, I'm always going to be like happy with what V says, but there's questions that he asks, and I would like to hear your opinions.
The least most biased source.
So I woke up today with Temple and other right-wing political commentators accused.
And you know what? I'm putting it at fast so everybody can just get over his voice. Listen, you listen to my voice, you can deal with his voice. It's okay.
Of pushing Russian propaganda. The allegation is that the U.S. Department of Justice has indicted 2 Russian nationalists, one by the name of Kalashnikov. I'm not kidding, that's his
At
name.
least he can say the names nicely.
And another lady by the name of Elena. And apparently they have pushed $10 million into a company called Tenet Media, which has the aim of getting online political commentators to push for Kremlin messaging and to spread the
Russians do this all the time, and they're very good at it, by the way. They do this in many different nations. So just to say that the accusation is not unprecedented, and it came out of somewhere.
Yeah.
Reminds you of Gru.
I love it.
Awesome.
In which case, it's doing a pretty bad job at it because I haven't seen this company spreading a lot of wokeness. I haven't seen an ideology more divisive than wokeness. Because it says, well, it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter your ideology. It matters who you are. And if you're like different, then there are competing interests. But all jokes aside.
Okay, pause.
Yeah,
I already have a problem. It's not good at spreading division because it didn't spread wokeness. I haven't seen an ideology more spread wokeness.
That's the joke. That's the joke. That's why
Hopefully it's a joke because you
no,
cannot
that's
compare.
literally why I said all jokes aside.
Okay. You cannot compare wokeness to bombs falling on you. Come on.
He's talking about division. He's saying wokeness is because he says it's for spreading division. So that's his main thing. Is that look, it's for spreading division. Then he made a joke by saying, "Oh, if you wanted to spread division, you would spread wokeness."
Mm-hmm.
So and then he says, all jokes aside,
is accused of taking money from the Russians because he associates with this company. Now, he released a statement saying that these allegations, if they prove...
Okay, so my statement regarding allegations in the Geo, should these allegations prove true, I, as well as the other personalities and commentators, were deceived and are victims. I cannot speak for anyone else at the company as to what they do or what they are instructed. The Culture War podcast was licensed by Tenet Media. It existed well before any license agreement with Tenet, and it will continue to exist after such agreement expires. The only change with the agreement was that the location of the live broadcast moved to Tenet's YouTube channel, and Culture War never produced any content for Tenet Media. Never at any point did anyone other than I have full editorial control over the show, and the contents of the show are often apolitical. Examples include discussing spirituality, dating, video games. Okay.
That is the point I was trying to make, where there's not much proof that he was actually paid to spit out Russian propaganda through Tenet Media.
It's just that it's not pro-Russia. It's just it helps Russia, supposedly. That
would be pro-Russia, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like if you would say a narrative helps America, you would say that that's a pro-American.
If I help my friend Sergey move across the U.S., am I helping Russians?
No, because you are helping an individual as opposed to a government.
Okay, Wallace.
Yes, the joke is that he is Sergey. That is exactly the joke we make.
I will say it isn't known whether Tim and others knew where the money was coming from, but Tim at least should have been questioning how Lauren Chen was paying $400K.
Have you seen that face? You're not questioning anything.
That has more insight
money.
and philosophical self-questioning than Tim has available to him.
Lauren Chen is gorgeous. That's what I'm saying.
Pretty woman give me a lot of money. Me, I'm doing good.
What is there to
I'm
do?
just saying it's
yeah.
people, when they are doing really good and in a position of power,
Mm.
will be inherently less likely to self-investigate, because that thing is usually motivated by, something is going wrong. I feel something is going wrong. What could be the cause? You don't do that if you feel like everything is going right.
Mm.
So I
Yeah,
actually
true.
about this
Don't
whole
look it in the
thing.
mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. About this whole thing, this is why there's so many accusations of these guys spitting out Russian propaganda and being paid for it, because we already know Tim Pool has already come out as anti-Ukraine, anti-Russian war prior. Okay, this is we had the whole Destiny clip where he was very angrily saying it. So
And yeah, he said it in a way. Ukraine is the enemy of the country. Like it's very.
Ukraine is our greatest enemy, I believe.
It's heavy rhetoric, which I don't care for. But
yes,
yeah.
Man,
but
if Ukraine is your
different.
greatest enemy in the entire world, you are doing really fucking well.
It's just like if you were paid to review a game. If you were paid to review a game, you are going to review it in a more favorable light because you're being paid to. That is the accusation. That is the accusation here. That
even if you were already going to review that game before that, even if you already decided you were going to play that game before,
exactly,
it's still
conflict of interest. And while that is the point that Charles was trying to make, that there's definitely a conflict of interest there, and I agree with that. I want to see what the court case actually brings about, because this could end up being used till the end of time against all right wingers. Because, dude, like a big right wing channel is now being used as a cudgel because they all sold to the Russians.
So I talked about this before off stream. I seriously doubt that if this is a big if, keep in mind, very big if that I'm doing this, if this all turns out to be true, and it turns out that, significant right-wing media channels are actually sponsored by Russia or the Kremlin, I don't think it's going to stick at all. I think that it's going to be just another case that people on their respective sides of the political aisle will ignore. And yes, it will be used as a cudgel against right-wingers, but it already is.
I still don't agree with your premise, mainly because it's not, when I'm talking about like it's going to be used to try and convince people that have not decided yet. Of course, the fans of the thing are going to ignore it.
Yeah, but people are already trying to convince undecided people that all right-wingers are like Russian bots. Like
this is a very convincing thing to say, hey, that one thing, that Tim Pool that you like, who claims to be a centrist or a moderate left, and he's surrounded by a bunch of right-wingers that he's agreeing with all the time. This dude, 100%, if he's being paid for by Russia, you can instantly hit him with the culture cudgel and say, no, that's propaganda.
There have been other famous, again, this is a big if, and keep in mind, this is my personal opinion, okay? And my personal view, and which is probably tainted and too depressive, because hence my name. So keep that in mind. I'm a huge black-pilled, whatever, world viewer who like mourns the downfall of humanity and think we are all doomed. But I think we have seen numerous other creators who had big enough like reveals of them being sponsored by whatever, or them being fundamentally grifting, or like lying, or not believing in anything, or being paid to say stuff, and it didn't sink their careers whatsoever. And I can't help but expect that this one will blow over too, should it even be real.
Notice how I did not say it would sink their careers.
No, but you implied that it would be used as a weapon against them, and their future influence would be reduced.
Yes. Well,
I don't think that would be the case.
Hold on. Because if we have people like Dr. Disrespect that they didn't lose much at all, even though through all the controversy that they went through, I mean, they're still going to keep them. They're still going to have fans. Regardless. Like Andrew Tate comes out as a trafficker of women. And
he came out as he openly admitted to having sex with a child and recording it on camera. He still has like endless hordes of fans. Yeah, I understand. I agree.
Hey, we're on the same subject. What are you talking about? Kitty.
You guys are going to start arguing.
No, we weren't. We were having a nice back and forth about what it means to, have your career and your voice be impacted by
we'll actually
serious
put a pin in that, because because there is a question, there is an example of such
Okay.
in this video. Just finishing the reading there. So he's saying never at any point did anyone other than I have full editorial control, because that was the main thing for me, is that he was just saying stuff that they are happy with, okay? And yes, I understand the conflict of interest. The show is produced in its entirety by our local team without input from anyone external to the company. So he's saying, listen, the actual creation of it is our own. So it's not like they give us scripts, but at the same time, yes, they are funding this on purpose for a reason. This is an
but imagine what Tim Pool would say if this would have been revealed from like a left-wing publication that they particularly hate or something, like the TYT or something. They would say like, oh, of course, but you take their money, or their mouthpiece, they take their money. You have to remind yourself the engagement that is taken, like you consider
as Charles said, conflict of interest.
Yeah, conflict of interest.
Or it used to be.
For sure. But also another thing to that's why he's saying we didn't know. So that's the best thing that you can say, is that we didn't know. And that is in the indictments, at least, that unknowingly that they didn't know where this money was coming from. The show is produced entirely. This being said, it exists solely for the production of the Cultural Podcast. That being said, we still do not know what is true, as these are only allegations. Putin is a scumbag. Russia sucks donkey balls, blah, blah. So he can say that. Look at him. He's saying it. He's like holding up the cross, saying, look, you see, I can say the things.
I've placed the flag of the nation in my Twitter profile. I have now repented.
Zach is auditioning as well.
Listen, there are a lot of Vatniks and Russia shields, and for every one of them, there are thousands more that would kill to be in their place. So it's a highly coveted area.
I will only do so if I can date Lauren Chen.
We are Canadian propagandists now, because
He's prettier than Lauren Chen.
Bimo, that's ironically enough, I know of Russian propagandists, and I know this for a fact, that have been bought by having Russian models given to them by the Kremlin.
That's how a Chinese spy basically controlled New York.
That is ironically a thing that they do.
Let's get to it. Let's go quickly. We still have to get to Bitter Media, by the way. Okay.
Yeah, hold on. Let me answer a quick question in chat before that. It was said that Lauren Chen worked for Russia Today before. That is true, I think, as far as I know. And Russia Today is one of the most infamous Kremlin propaganda pieces. So that, again, adds to the suspicion of people looking like, this could be true. I mean, you work at the guys before who lied their ass off for money. So it adds to the weight of the accusation. That's it.
AJ has also been approached, it seems. He knows the requirements. You got to have a bear that helps you train in every video. So
no, that's the Polish army. You're confusing that with it's the Polish army that trains with bears. No.
You're the best around.
Thank you. Okay, so that
bear
thank you for that.
That
that's two good puns. This whole we're going slowly here, but okay. Darling did one. You did one. I would like.
I mean, if we had Item Wizard, we would have much better puns and much more of them. But unfortunately, he's not available.
So let's just continue. He does bring up what's the name? Does bring up the Young Turks.
True. Him, as well as other personalities and commentators, were deceived and are victims. He cannot speak for anyone else at the company as to what they do or what they was that the location of the live broadcast moved to Ted's YouTube channel, discussing spirituality, dating, and video game properties. And that being said, we still do not know what is true. Now, here we get to see a lot of Democrats who have been strong supporters of the bull, that they have long endorsed his channel and were fans, and now they feel betrayed. And he's saying that he should go to prison.
Okay, so there is a bit of what you guys were talking about, right? There is a bit people that supported Tim Pool have actually felt betrayed and upset, right? You didn't do anything bad, darling. You gave us a good pun earlier.
Is it possible that this is happening? Yes, I do think that it is. I do think that it is possible that without knowing he got money from these influencers. It is also possible that he knew. But what I do notice from the authoritative sources and from the other opinion influencers is that there is no push in order to train the public on how to think for themselves.
Because that's what V goes on about, is like who cares? So his thing is, oh well, you just got to vaccinate, I suppose, from the man virus of what is being given to you. So we don't have to go into that.
If people could actually think for themselves, then it wouldn't matter who pays for the news. And oftentimes the news is paid by someone. The funny fact is that I do know a guy that does this for a living. Like, he's like, yeah, it's like a think tank. I'm not the only one doing it. And who are these people? Well, it's influential people.
He's talking about somebody who researches for the news, and it's actually somebody who is employed to get certain information. They have to get the best information, but they're still not biased or something like that. But that's neither here nor there. It's talking about truth and whatever.
Like, pay you to a lot more clearer than I ever did. He said, well, they pay me to inform them, so I am motivated to give them the best information possible so that they keep paying me and recommend me to other people. Meanwhile, if you watch the news for free, someone else is paying that media company in order to inform you. And the person paying may not have the interest for you to be informed, may just have the interest for you to think in a different way.
So he's just talking about the influence of the person who's paying.
Talking about media spend.
Yeah. So based amino have to use have a segment since then used to be fun, and then this is it. This is the when he talks about the Young Turks.
With news that the Qatarian government wants you. For some reason that wasn't me. And then when basically listening to stuff that the advertisers want you to see, and then listening to stuff that YouTube wants you to see. And then when you have other content creators, like for instance, the Young Turks, which got money from Qatar, and for some reason that wasn't a big scandal.
So there is the other part of it where apparently that wasn't a big scandal. So the Young Turks is still the Young Turks. So what do you think of that? That's an example of the influence. I suppose that's not what you were saying anyway, Bimo. That's why you guys got into the argument, because you were saying it's not like it's going to shut the channel down. It looks bad, but it doesn't ruin the whole career.
I knew about the Young Turks for a very long time, and it does influence how I think about what they have to say.
Yeah.
But they're not, as far as I know, they pretty much their thing called Wolfpack is supported by a foreign dignitary. That's the way it is. Not their show itself. It's their pack that they use for political means within the U.S., which is a little scarier if you ask me. But I don't think it affects what they say. But I don't really value much of what they say in the first place, so I'm a bit biased.
I expect Beamoth to read this for us.
Yep.
Unless Beamoth is not
Or
here.
he won't.
Okay, Hadri.
I was muted. No.
No, not again. No.
I don't
For the
know
whole
what
show.
the Wallace sounds like, but I will do my best.
Think of them like
A
the
goose.
walrus.
Because it's goosebumps. Sorry, no, go.
Hassan is trying to link this whole situation to Destiny because he fucked Lauren Southern once. Because Destiny in DGG is the demon that haunts Hassan in his sleep. I think he's just mad because he's been shilling for free.
He's like, hey, you guys are getting paid?
You guys are getting paid to say these things. I just say them because I think them. That's unfair. And yeah, dude, Hassan is like insanely obsessed with Destiny and his crowd, and there's some ridiculous stuff between them. But yeah, Hassan did some weird stuff. Don't look into it. It's
oh god, yeah.
Hassan and Destiny did
great performance there, Beamoth.
Yes, good job.
Also, I think you're right, Rex. It is Russia is a bit more of a sore issue than Qatar, I would say.
One of them is vying to be a superpower and an enemy of influential countries. The other one is not in that position.
Yet. Who knows? So yeah, he says some reason that wasn't a big scandal. So are you guys saying that the Young Turks actually was kind of a big scandal, but they kind of overcame it? It was kind of like they just...
When I heard about it, I was actually a big fan of Steven Crowder, and he was the only person I ever saw making big fanfare over it.
Okay. Yeah, well, yeah, Steven would make a huge thing about it.
I mean, yes, he would, so that doesn't mean that much.
He had active beef with the Young Turks for a long time until he grew bigger than them. and then he felt like he was, quote, punching down.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Okay. Okay. So let's see.
You're basically being served with news that the Qatarian government wants you to hear. And yeah, this is something that I also find interesting. Like, a lot of content creators are sponsored by various entities. Some of them can be American entities like Disney, which has a political agenda. I mean, they're very open about it, and that agenda actually got into conflict with the Floridian legislative. You can get news that are sponsored by Qatar, like the Young Turks. The Young Turks used to be very based. I mean, they used to even have a segment, Can You Guess Whose Camel Toe Is This? I believe they removed it ever since, but they used to be fun. And then
They actually had that. I didn't know that. Okay.
Italian money comes in, and they start spreading wokeness. They start spreading identity politics and division, and they start attacking police officers. And and apparently there is also China. I find it interesting when sitting Democrat members are revealed to have slept with Chinese spies.
You guys
That's what I was
mentioned Chinese.
referencing, by the way.
Yeah, that's what they
That's why I was smiling.
Turns out in this day and age, the best way to do spying and stealing and super spying and James Bonding is to have a super hot smoking supermodel sleep her way to the very top. And it works.
You know what? Yeah.
And you don't need to be a
nature.
Democrat or Republican or whatever. It just works wherever
I mean,
you are.
hello, watch a James Bond movie. That's what the girls, the spies are all hot and whatever on purpose. So, yeah.
And there's no media backlash against it. There's no outrage.
It should be.
And then, you also have like Russia apparently also investing money into content creation. I got to say, though, $10 million is not that much compared to the other amount of cash that I've seen flow.
Well, it's a lot compared to what Hassan is getting, okay? He got nothing.
That's why he's angry. Yeah.
Now, regarding Tim Pool, I got to say, I haven't watched him in ages, simply because I do not like the new format. I like the smaller videos that he used to make, which were more informative. I'm not saying his show is bad. It's just...
He was like, when he first was coming around, he was like guerrilla journalist. That's how I knew him before, but now, yeah, different.
It's not my cup of tea. But regarding him, whether or not he is colluding with the
2016,
Russians,
Tim Pool is a
if you're
fundamentally different person than Tim Pool today.
a person that thinks for yourself, it's very easy to figure out. Ask yourself, number one.
So here's the questions, guys.
Is he pushing a lot of information that he knows is false?
Okay, discuss. I'm opening the door, and don't worry, I won't play the song.
Is he pushing a lot of information that he knows is false?
That is entirely unrelated to propaganda, in my opinion, but maybe that's just me.
What? No, not necessarily, because propaganda, one would assume that propaganda is pushing, if anything, a false narrative.
And doesn't it, but you don't need to know that. You might just believe that it's the truth, and you are paid to say something that you believe. You are a propagandist, but you don't know it. You don't have to know that it's false at all. Your belief or knowledge about its reality is completely unrelated to it being propaganda or not.
Well, the fact is also, it's smarter if he doesn't think it's false.
Yes, because you get an extra layer of protection and potential loyalty. It's harder to. It's one less moving cog in the system.
A quick Google definition of propaganda is information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. It seems to me that most people, or at least myself, would inherently presume misleading nature, but and then overlook the biased element. But it sounds like simply being biased is enough to enter into propaganda territory.
Propaganda doesn't even need to be lies. You can do propaganda without ever lying, by the way. A lot of people do this, to just leaving critical stuff out, phrasing it in a certain manner.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, I remember distinctly the Carl Rittenhouse situation, where a lot of people just talked about, he shot into a crowd or shot at a crowd of BLM protesters. They didn't say anything that was untrue, but they definitely gave a biased narrative, a very biased picture of what happened.
It wasn't chicken.
No.
It was sweets. Okay.
Even better.
Okay, so we did that question. You guys spoke about it, whether you don't necessarily know it's false. Cool.
Is he getting a community fact check a lot?
Is he getting community fact check? He does that all. Like if everybody.
This bothers me. Because if
Yeah.
you're going to make the assumption that X's community guidelines are accurate, you are making a very bad assumption.
Or he's talking just fact checked. People have spoken in conversation. People have disproved him. It doesn't have to necessarily be an actual fact check on.
I know, but you
community
cannot say this at the same time and then yap stupid stuff about how wokeness is the most divisive thing ever. Like, come on, trench lines are more divisive than wokeness. I'm sorry.
Wrong.
Is he lying to his audience and speaks from a position of authority? Is he avoiding certain topics? Like, are there subjects that his audience would like him to approach or discuss, but he won't even look at it, or he will dismiss them, or he will keep ignoring it?
Tim Pool recently had mass waves of bans in his chat when people asked him to address something.
What was it?
Oh, when I was looking at the stream today for
It's not the first
Tim
time he's
Pool,
done it either.
where I got that screenshot from, I started watching the chat, and every person that talked about how he was a Russian shill, even people that were sending money, were getting
to
banned.
say so.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm sure that's in like in the tiers. Like, I suppose you.
You can for any reason, I think. So because it's your stuff. Like,
so
if Nico didn't accidentally press the delete button on that person he responded to, but the ban button on accident, like there would be just nothing problem. Like he could have just been a power mod, and it's allowed, sadly.
So I think what
I
he's
understand
getting
why.
at here, though, is because what the conflict of interest is the thing that we are actually taking issue with here, right? That people should take issue with is what I think we kind of got.
I
But
think morally it affects people's the way that they'll see you. So yeah, it's a moral issue.
But the thing that he is pointing out here is that Tim Pool is just being Tim Pool. He's actually not saying something. He's not saying something according to a script. It's just that he is a useful idiot to them. He's
we
useful,
don't know
he
for
says
sure,
the
but
things.
it seems like that.
But it seems that way. So I think that's what he's trying to show, that Tim is not suddenly, like the way he says that the Young Turks changed is he says it's because of the
Yes,
Qatari
and
government.
Nico, I know
But
you
he's not.
apologized. I'm just making fun of you, okay?
It was a joke. Jeez, bro.
I just found it funny when someone wanted to reply to something and it deleted it instead because
I
they're
didn't forget the song. I didn't forget the song. I just didn't want to. I know I have actual other panelists that can speak while I'm fucking around with the door.
Ignoring them? Is he forbidding his guests from talking about certain topics? Is he preventing guests from appearing on his show, especially if those guests are critical of Russia? So that's basically how I would assess just how much influence does Russia have over Tim Pool.
So that's the influence of them, like the actual influence that they are putting on him. But which,
keep in mind, is not necessarily needed to be a propagandist, but it's if they put influence on you, you are certainly going to be biased in their way, but it is not necessary. So it cannot be used to rule out, but it can be used to search for potential propagandists.
Yeah.
Sorry
a certain type of propagandist,
And the other interesting thing, and this is what the DOJ should actually say, I mean, if they're doing this investigation, what exactly does Russia want to influence the American people about?
That's an interesting
a lot
thing
of
to talk
things
about.
from
How does this benefit them?
Yeah, the division. This is for the same reason they sponsor like both white supremacist groups and black separatist groups, and then have them fight each other publicly and try to convince more people to fight for them and then fight each other. They don't actually care for black separatism or white supremacy. They just want the American people to be divided instead of realizing of what Russia is doing and being able to oppose it. Like if the United States would ban gayness or something tomorrow for some whatever reason, I guarantee you that there would be a rainbow flag flying next to the Russian and the Soviet flag, and the empire of the Russian and the Russian Empire's flag at like the crucial Russian government buildings, instead of now just being the imperialist flags. There would be a gay flag right next to it, because what is in their interest is to generate the opposition and expand and do their horrific dictatorial activities unchecked. And that's easier if if the world police is having their back turned, so to speak.
I'm in trouble.
You're in trouble.
No.
Okay.
A terrifying
Anyway.
husband has appeared.
Dum
Yes.
dum dum. I hope
Sorry,
he
I-
farts
sorry.
next to you.
No, he's just finding his dinner. I'm sorry, I had to leave.
No worries.
Hello, do you take calls? And if you do, are all topics welcome? The Universe Galaxy NBA asked the following question.
We don't take calls, but you can suggest a topic, and if we want to talk about it, we will.
We are very
but,
interactive with the audience,
yeah.
but no calling, sorry.
and a lot of the time, if it is a topic that we would like to go into at a later stage in more in depth, we will have a full think on it. So usually our topics are set for the day, even though we don't stick to them
We
very
get
well.
distracted. One of the
Yes.
best one of the best things you can do if you want us to cover specific things is join the Discord, and there's a thread for suggestions and topics.
Yeah, there is Thinkers Chat that you can go and discuss stuff in. Thanks, Nico, and thanks, Dorcas, or Beamoth, sorry. Look, guys, let's go for another 5 minutes on this. Then we have to go to the bits of media, which unfortunately I wish Charles could come back. Charles, if you can hear me, Charles,
Charles, we miss you.
come back.
Charles, blink if you're being held captive.
We can't see him. That doesn't.
And
work.
also tell us if you blink.
Thank you. Okay, so
Because like if you're asking me what does the United States wanted to influence the Afghanistani people about? Well, they wanted.
that's sorry. I know you were talking about that, Hardra. You were talking about how it helps. I just didn't get to the end of your point because, you know,
Because stuff and things.
G-Man. So yeah, if anyone wants to add to that, that was it. So he's saying like influence Afghanistan people about
Like
that.
what would be the goal of the influence? Yeah, he's
But
listing up potential stuff.
I'm more on your side. I don't think V is actually he doesn't. I don't think he hits on that playing the both sides thing. That is how you sow division. You support both things. You make sure
The
both
extreme and loud groups that you can make people. That's all they care about. As I said, it doesn't. It's not the principle or the thing they advocate for. It's just division.
Yeah, just it's
weaken
whatever it
opponent.
is, whatever it may be, just divide, and then conquer. So
to bring diversity, inclusivity, and equity. They wanted to make Afghanistan a lot more secular than it was, right? Like you can actually say what was the intention behind the push to change culture. So this is something that I've never heard any American politician or journalist or American institution like the DOJ say. What exactly does Russia want to change in
What
the
do you
United
mean?
States? Because usually they will
Stop.
say,
No, pause. What do you mean he never heard this?
He
This is
hasn't
being
heard
talked
it.
about all the time. In
it's
fact,
his
it's
lived
become,
experience.
it has become a talking point. It's been I don't believe he's paying attention to US politics if he says this. I'm sorry. Like, how do you not know one of the biggest the big classic talking points about how Russia wants to do this or Russia wants to do that in the United States? There are so many stuff being said about that it's difficult to even categorize.
You hear that? Your fellow Eastern European has told you something.
Yes.
well, they want
All
to
I heard was Hydra go, duh, 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 duh.
That's the important part. Thank you.
Propaganda. During the Cold War, they were very outspoken about what Russia wanted. It's like, oh, Russia wants the
just as they are now.
They want the
Okay, so he knows a bit too much about the past, doesn't know anything about now.
U.S. forces to go out of Vietnam. They want the United States to dismantle its nuclear material.
Maybe does he mean it in the?
They want that now. They want the
conversation
United
now?
States to remove its forces from NATO and to leave NATO, which is why they sponsor stuff like Texas separatism and and accounts that post about how, oh my God, Polish people have been spotted in the United States military base. This is a national threat. We must leave NATO at once and declare war on the Polish government. That's the whole point, is that their goals haven't changed that much because their geopolitical position hasn't changed that much. Just
they want the Marxist ideology, right? So during the Cold War, the American government was very outspoken about point by point what Russia influence was like and what they wanted. Now it seems that Russia wants right wing everywhere. Like Russia.
No, it's not.
They
are outspoken. No, and I don't know if he just didn't listen to like White House announcements or speeches or like official declarations from the US government, but they are very clear in their accusations about what they think Russia wants to achieve in their country. It's not the exact same as during the Cold War, but they are saying it. The difference is that I think he interprets as the Americans, oh, they don't say what Russia actually wants to do, is that there isn't that much of a culture of fear being built around the thing. Because if you were around during the Cold War, there was that fear of like, oh my God, the Russians going to nuke us. It's going to be a nuclear apocalypse any time now. Like the tension was crazy through the roof. We don't have that culture of like fear and oh my God, the hidden communist. Where is the hidden communist anymore? But that doesn't mean that their methods and their goals have changed that much. It's still there, just a little bit different and better hidden and using more modern technologies to spread. And no, it doesn't just Russia want right wing. If you look at the right-wing people they want specifically, they all happen to align with pro-Russian interests, just like how you look at the left-wing people they want or they support, those also all happen to align with pro-Russian interests. They just want the pro-Russian interest. They don't have like, oh, Russia is pro-right-wing, everyone is right-wing, is sponsored by Russia, whatever. No. It's the division and the weakening of the United States at any cost that they pursue, specifically.
It doesn't matter how, just whatever weakens.
Yeah. If the United States banned gay rights, they would be flying the gay flag and sponsoring gay rights movements everywhere. That it's just division and weakening that they want.
Oopsie.
I'm more nationalistic. But why though? Why would Russia want that? And Russia is also friends with China, and China wants America to become more woke. Because if you look at TikTok and you look at the algorithm and you look at what's pushing, it's definitely not pushing nationalism. In fact, like people that are too nationalistic, they get banned from TikTok. So this reminds me of what another friend of mine said, and she's in a position of
pause on that again. You don't get banned from TikTok if you're too nationalistic, because you can go full Chinese nationalistic and you never get banned from TikTok. But if you're not Chinese and go full nationalistic, then you get banned.
Yeah.
I think you can put together why. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's that big. It's big of a deal. It's not that big of a mystery. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a mystery. You can put it together very easily. You can figure out why. And I just can't help but feel that we is either not paying that much attention, missing some crucial information, or just doesn't think about it like that extra step to understand about like, oh, TikTok doesn't want nationalism. It get banned. But what kind of?
So you're saying he doesn't know what he's talking about?
Yes, but in a polite way. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Because I don't think he is trying to be wrong or is spreading lies or anything. I just think he could have paid a little bit more attention here and he would understand the situation a little bit better. The basic thoughts that he's positioning, the points that he listed off about influence and control and what they want, they are not wrong. He just missed them in real life. His system for judging things is sound. He just didn't pay enough attention, I think.
Okay, so final thoughts on the whole situation.
I don't think that there's enough evidence for me to say that Tim Pool is a paid Russian asset. Sorry, or propagandist. Though, like controlled. I don't think he's paid to say the things he says now. Or if he is paid, I don't know if it affects what he's saying because he was saying these things prior.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not that he's paid to say it, as in like he's paid to say a specific thing, but
paid because.
Yes, there you go. Yeah. I think that's where I'm landing on this.
Is there a conflict of interest? Absolutely. I don't watch Tim Pool because I don't really appreciate what he has to say anymore. So it's like I kind of figured out his shtick a while ago.
I just didn't. I was wondering about Dave Rubin. I wanted to do because for the change your mind thing, there is a video of Dave Rubin having his mind changed by a conservative, and I want to.
Of course, by a conservative, because that's less risky than having your mind changed by a leftist. If you're a right-wing video YouTuber, you know.
I mean, he was a leftist prior.
Yes, but he changed from being a leftist into a right-winger when it was no longer worth it. That's the important distinction.
Well,
that brings up an entire different can of worms on what grifting is.
So, anything else? Dorcas, I would like a statement from you.
About
decided?
I really,
About Tim
really,
Pool.
really dislike Tim Pool a lot. I cannot say live the many things I would like to.
To the thinkers, why do you think Russians are trying to pay commentators like Tim Pool? So, yeah,
I gave my answer. That's other
yeah.
people.
I think
have
me and Hydra
Presumably-
have given our answer.
It
Yeah.
furthers their interests.
Um,
Otherwise, why not?
well, yeah, I think it furthers their interest is is an easier way to put it. But I think that there is a vested interest in Russia trying to get the right wing on their side, because the right wing currently are the folks that are against the Ukraine war currently.
Even though they didn't used to be. At the beginning, it was unanimous support, especially from the right wing. There are videos
I mean,
from
the government is still doing unanimous support. It's just
Yes,
the
but
people.
there were right-wing politicians and the same people that are vehemently anti-Ukraine now were approached. There are actual videos of this. Were approached by Russians working for the Russian government about, hey, maybe if you were in charge, would you roll back all of these aid packages to Ukraine? And they were like, no, I support Ukraine because your country is attacking Ukraine and how they and those exact same people now have changed their mind.
I don't know what people you're talking about.
I'll
so I
send you
can't
some
really comment.
videos, okay?
I mean, it's likely. Like the government flip flops on everything all the time.
Yeah,
so
I know.
It's unsurprising to me. That's why I think that they would try to do that. There's a vested interest in trying to get the antis to support Russia.
Obviously, yeah.
So let us get on to media things. And you know what? To signal the change of topic, I will do this. I just like the sound. The cat, like, I'm not an orange cat. I want a different kind of cat, and I want that to be anyway. So our new topic is bitter media. Bimo, can you explain to everybody what we are trying to do when we talk about that?
Okay, so I will start this off by pretty much laying out how I kind of feel about it, because a lot of it, Gray immediately, I disagree.
Nice.
Okay, so it seems to me that in the last five to seven, maybe even like the last decade, there's been a targeted hatred of the things that are coming before, in terms of movies and even books. Comics industry is full of this, but it's a lot of this seems to be coming from the people that are creating franchises, and a lot of this focus would be on franchises. An easy example of this would be how The Witcher was made as a show, because there were a lot of things that people took issue with The Witcher series, and the reply from the writers, I'm not even talking about the actors, the writers came out and just decided, well, you guys either didn't read the books, or we don't care about what's in the books. This is our baby. And it leaves a very bad taste in my mouth, and I cannot be the only person that has a bad taste over things like that. This has happened with Star Wars. This is currently happening with Rings of Power. This has happened with The Witcher. This has happened with a bunch of different series where we don't like this thing that you made. Oh, well, you're racist, and sit and spin.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a disgusting way to dismiss fans. So I wanted to try to dig into this and actually really think about, okay, one, is what I'm saying true? And if it's not true, what's the otherwise? This is why it was so interesting with I want Charles to be in on this, because I know Charles might not see exactly how I do, and it's unfortunate that Gray is not here, because I know that Gray disagrees with me on this as well. But I wanted to know what your guys' thoughts are.
I'm leaving space open for people to talk.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I have many, many thoughts on the matter, and I even wrote many of them out.
Mhm.
I think this is all fueled by CRT and, for a more encompassing word, woke ideology.
Like a leftist bias.
A leftist bias. I think that there have been a lot of people who have been taught poor analytical skills. Like it was very popular for a long time to presume that all of the Disney princess stories revolved around the princess getting her man, her prince, and that solving all of her problems. And I think that's a very, very reductive way of analysis, of analyzing these stories. So this issue, I think, appears bitter, but is rooted more in narcissism. So you've got a lot of people who think that everything that was made before yesterday was made by the patriarchy for cis white men. And we know that they think this because there are interviews of them saying as much, that their goal is to make things for everyone, this sort of toxic positivity.
Yeah.
Yes. And so what you get, and I'll sort of hover over into video games for a little bit, but it's applicable to Hollywood as well. You get these this pattern of a community exists, and a community exists for a reason and appreciates certain things. And then you get these Anita Sarkeesian types who come in and say, your community is sexist. Saving the princess trope is sexist, and you all need to change. And they get things fundamentally wrong. There were no strong female characters. Well, no, actually, there have always been.
At the time, Chun-Li was one of the most popular characters in Street Fighter.
I mean, Samus, Princess Leia. So then these ideologues face pushback because they are built on fundamentally flawed premises. But the ideologues are very good at working their way into creative positions. And so, and they overrepresent themselves. They convince the powers that be that it would be more profitable than not to make the changes that they want to make. But you'll notice, as in the case with Concord and Dustborn, was it? They never actually support the things once the changes are made, or at least not in any meaningful way. So the things come out, and sorry, I'm going to monologue for a little bit longer.
Go ahead.
These things come out, they don't do well because the people that want to enforce these changes they weren't actually fans in the first place, or at least the things they valued are different than what the core fan base has always valued. And these people, these creative people that are making these things, I don't want to say that they are not talented, but they are standing on the shoulders of giants. Not everyone can be a George Lucas or a J.R.R. Tolkien. And we shouldn't necessarily hold everyone to that standard. But at the same time, if you are going to come into a pre-existing community and say what you like is wrong and we are going to fix it, you need to be able to back that up. So I think it's narcissism. I think it is hubris. And as I said, we see interviews where they say that these things are their goals. But you also see it in the things, lines like "let the past die, kill it if you have to," emasculating traditionally masculine characters like Indiana Jones or James Bond. It seems undeniable to me that it is happening.
Okay.
I guess the question is where it comes from. So Gray is saying that he doesn't see it. You think it's fueled by profit, and they will adopt any social norm that is considered profitable. I think it's very there's so many parts involved in and motives involved, because there's people, humans.
You get your sweet baby. First off, they are a loud minority. So they are loud, so people think there's more of them than they actually are. And as I've said, they never actually support the things. But then you've also got your sweet baby inks out there who threaten to boycott. So
they create this sense that it won't be profitable. They say it won't be profitable if you keep the masculine character in. If you don't do the race swap, you're not going to get anything profitable.
There have been game devs that have been reached out to and pressured in such a manner. It's like, hey, your game is going to collapse. It's going to be canceled. It's going to be give us this much money and we can give you a consultant. Like, this is a business model that's out there.
And it's sort of like a self-fulfilling prophecy in the sense that I'm not going to expect the layman, the normie, to understand the ideological underpinnings. I'm not going to expect them to be able to articulate Robin DiAngelo or the tenets of critical race theory, but they see things like all of the villains are white and all of the good characters are black now, or they see a series of the strong female character archetype, the Captain Marvels out there, and they say, I don't like this isn't good. And then the fighting begins, the istophobes labeling begins, and it's just worse and worse.
Okay, I definitely have thoughts here because a lot of this is actually linked up to what the couple of questions that I had to ask. Actually, one of the big things that Gray already like the thing that he kind of feels that it's motivated by profit. That was one of my questions. Okay, why do producers and studios decide to either revitalize a series, reboot a series, keep a series going? It's to make money, right? Yeah. That is the easiest, like, without assuming that they are in the back rooms going, we'll make it lame and gay. Like, that is the easiest assumption, that they are profit driven.
Yeah, go on.
No, I am getting somewhere because I do agree with a lot of what you're saying here, Dorcas. I had a long time, like I spent so many hours like thinking about this last night.
No,
okay,
I agree.
so,
they're not in the back room saying, we're going to make it lame and gay. That is not what's happening.
Maybe some of them are, but not like,
that's what
I wouldn't say a majority.
Yes, correct.
But then you get into the whole thing of what is popular, what are the social norms of today? And you might say it would be profitable to have those things in your shows, but the sales numbers do not show those things to actually be popular. A lot of these franchises have started going in the toilet because they're turning towards these social norms that Gray is now saying might be required to make something profitable. I don't want to misspeak on this, Gray. I would love to actually have a conversation with you about this because I know that you disagreed with my take the most in our little chat. But I'm not sure that that's completely why this happens. I think that there's multiple factors here, and one of them is money, of course. The other one being we need to make it not what it was. That could be it needs to be changed for a modern audience, or it's a very common thing, which is let's deconstruct what made the first one good and then make ours distinctly different.
I was going to bring up deconstruction, just the destruction of things. And that's the approach that wokeness has.
Do you have any thoughts, Hydra? I know you haven't
Yeah.
said much.
Yeah, it's very complex, and I can't. I have a long-winded opinion about this, and I can't put it into a format short and concise enough to be satisfied with myself. It's all about clash of business models and how people want to do things. Like there exists video games like Forever Winter, which are made by devs who extremely care, want the best thing for the players always, and want to create beautiful art and have a strict like no pay to win microtransactions. Games should cost at maximum $40, no less, and there should be no battle pass, whatever bullshit in this game, and we're gonna make it so it can even function if all of the servers go down, and you know if it lose rights or if it ends or whatever. It
At
like
least
there
buy
is
me
that
dinner first. Jeez.
there is that attitude of the increasing like pro consumer, pro artist kind of behavior, and then there are a lot of other ones but the ones that this is obviously the ones that I most like, and there are a lot of other in betweens and other attitudes, but obviously the one I most hate is the lifeless corporate one, which leads to complete flops like Immortals of Aeon, which is like apparently the highest funded video game ever, maybe before Conquer, but maybe after 2, and no one even heard of it. And it was made by people who don't understand the good game mechanics. It was apparently going to be like this magical shooter, whatever. And to just give you a TLDR, sprint wasn't consistent. Instead of recoil or crosshair, instead of moving straight up, would go to the top right corner for some reason. Yes, this was a gameplay feature. I don't know why. And all of this stupid stuff was in there, and therefore it wasn't a good game, and nobody played it. And then there are also production models which are ideologically possessed. Or ideologically possessed modules try to slither their way in, just like what Sweet Baby Wink is all about how we are the only ones who can save you. What are you saving us from? From ourselves. If you don't give us money from we have to, it's just this making up like, hey, these people are gonna destroy your game because it's not like appealing enough to the modern audience, and we are the only one who can save you from them. Also, we are on their ideological team and their side, so do it or else. Like it's I think it's a clash of like ways to produce things.
And that's the definition of narcissism, though, is it not? I know better than you what is good for you and what is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's inherent. Unfortunately, a lot of narcissists make it to high-ranking positions because it's a good trait for them to have.
So I see what you mean there. It's the narcissism of the woke ideology. I know everybody gets very upset when you use the word woke. Like, get over it now. Listen. It's
we know more or less.
Okay, it's common parlance now. Shut the fuck up. Okay, we're gonna use the word. The narcissism that is inherent in that sort of ideology of that, like, the world must change to suit me. Everything must. I know what is right. I will tell you whether you should be offended or not. By the way, and how and what you should do with your offense as well. Even though, oh god, they eat themselves. Their logic.
Eternal cycle of purification. Yes, I know.
Progressive thought. Everything that is older is worse.
Yeah, they do that. But now what Dorcas is saying is, there is that driving these people to infiltrate now what Gray is talking about. The studios and the CEOs don't actually care. I agree with that. I think there might be some that do individually. Why not? Because they're taken in with the rest of the Hollywood thing. But I would say that they are convinced by such narcissists that...
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's pretty funny. They are convinced by such people with such motivations that this is the profitable way to go. This will make profits. This is the modern audience. The modern audience is out there. And you know what? Not even that.
Is this modern audience with the room with us?
Yeah, not even that. Actually, it can even be, it's just, if you try and pander to this audience, which is the original kind of normal audience, okay? I'm not even trying to say patriarchal audience, just normal, general, okay? That if you don't try to, if you pander to that, that will lose you money. Somehow they've convinced people. They've convinced them that. They've convinced the companies like that. And we are sitting here waiting as consumers. We're sitting here waiting there for them to realize it is not profitable. And that's why there is this toxic culture war where we go, yay, that thing failed. Because we want to convince them that, can you stop making the shit that we don't like? Please, 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 please.
I had a long conversation about this last night with someone who's very, very critical of the way I argue. So it was a very educational experience for me. And I learned there was something in the conversation that it made me really think, because a lot of this is assuming that these people could be doing it on purpose, or they're doing it for one specific reason or not, when it could be just Hanlon's razor.
Which people are you talking about? Because you say these people, but there's this the
I'll go on
people,
the writers and the people that are, you know, there's more than just the writing team. There's also the teams that when they receive a script, they're like, you need to move all this, you need to remove all that, this is all fluff, or this will not work. And I know
Different
that this
tiers
is a thing.
of awareness.
Exactly. And actually, a lot of these consulting firms, like we brought up Sweet Baby Inc. at one point, it's a same thing for games, but it's also in Hollywood. Undoubtedly, it's in Hollywood. So it goes further than just, oh, this writing team wants a specific thing. The flat lollipops, what?
The flat lollipops are a scam to give you less lolly in your pop. Okay.
That is so true.
Yeah, it's true.
But flat lollipops taste better, objectively.
Yeah, they do.
That's just how it is. But the thing that I came to think, something that was brought up in the conversation that I had that made me really think about it is, this could just be the cultural turnaround. This happens all the time within different, even politics and culture. It'll always be, we grew up with one thing. That thing is now changed to try and be for the new generation. So we as the older thing do not like the newer thing. And then it will come back around eventually, because that's what culture usually does. I'm not sure if I completely agree with that, but I can at least see where this is coming from.
Yeah, I can see that is in that's the thing of the appeal of nostalgia, right? That we want something as from a time where life was much easier. The things that you remember when you were a kid, they seem so much better because you didn't have the things that bother you going on now. So you have that bias towards things that, you know, there is that thought that every generation will think that their generation was best. And the kids nowadays, that's the joke. Oh, kids nowadays, they're horrible. Like every generation is going to do that. I understand, so I can see how that works. But I can't say that is completely the answer. That, as Dorcas said, it is undeniable that it's happening. You can't come and tell me that it's just because
that are,
I can't accept that it's just a natural. Nobody's putting their finger on the scale.
Well,
No.
you can, when you see agents acting around freely, obviously you see that there are minds at work that want a certain thing. So yeah, it's.
But wouldn't you also say that there's a possibility that the people that are writing these works, writing these comics or these movies, for these franchises, have made that thing and they just can't take criticism?
Well,
Possible, as always.
Aren't narcissists known for not being able to take criticism?
I mean, sure. I'm not even arguing against that they're not narcissistic.
Especially if you're a zealot
Hollywood.
for an ideology.
Sure. But I'm not sure if I want to say all these people that are writing for specific things are doing it because they subscribe to an ideology at all. I think it's, oh, my friends like to talk this way, so why wouldn't I put these themes in?
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, guys, but I have run out of time and I have to go.
Oh, dang it.
Bye, Hydra.
You're being paid by Russia to leave
To
the
leave,
show.
I know.
Mm.
I'll try to get more time in next time, but it's getting really late and I have stuff to do, really. So thank you guys for allowing me to be here, and hopefully,
Allowing you.
hopefully I can figure out all of my technical issues rather soon, because it pains me a lot, and it's been a long time, and I wish I could fix all of the stuff on my end. See you guys the next time.
See ya.
So, could you actually highlight Gray's message here? It's like, can you prove they believe it as opposed to are using it? And that's kind of the argument for Hanlon's razor that I'm trying to make here. Whether, and that actually, even if it is Hanlon's razor, I have a multitude of issues with that personally still, whether it's an ideological thing or not.
I mean, I would say just give me an individual example of a person, and I'll tell you how genuine and honest I think that individual is. I totally believe Rachel Zegler believes what she says when she says that the original Snow White is dated and what have you. So
I think I know what Gray would say to that, though, mainly because she has no effect on how the series is written. So
no, she doesn't.
But she's still part of it. She's still part of its description. She's still part of the culture that created it. Yeah. And I totally agree, because that's exactly why I brought up the individuals, the fact that these are all people. You cannot decide whether they're using it or believe it, because you have to know them. You have to see what they talk about. You have to, like Dorcas says, look at an individual, and then we can maybe determine it. But that does not mean that the problem doesn't exist. That doesn't mean that they're not
I will not make the claim that some people are not doing this out of spite, because so the Witcher writers are the best example of such a thing, where multiple of the writers have said on Twitter how much they hate the fans, and that we're now going to make this thing that was about Geralt about Guinevere, or a character that never existed in the first place in the books or the games, because sit and spin, you white racists or whatever. Like, there's a whole bunch of that.
And also, exactly, can you prove she hasn't bought into the profitable mandates? Why does it have to be one factor? Why does it have to only be profit?
Well, because profit is the easiest motive to go by for why things are created in the first place.
For sure, absolutely. But just, why does it have to only be one factor? Does it have to only be the ideology, and only it all serves? Everything is serving itself. So Rachel Zegler, she's getting paid. She is getting she's been told that it's okay, because she was allowed to run her mouth, and then eventually, when they had that interview with the Ariel girl, she had to tone it down, right, and say it was beautiful and whatever. You know how she changed her tune then. That is from the top coming down, but they let her lean into that, and that was her playing her role. And so it's the system.
Go ahead. It seems to me that Disney has a whole department that is dedicated to anti-campaigning, like it, especially like when Obi-Wan came out. Immediately there was a whole campaign where they stuck the actor, I forget her name, but they stuck her on video and put it out through Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, saying this lady was called racist by a bunch of people, therefore the fans and the fandom menace are bad and you should ignore them. Whether the racist comments existed or not doesn't really matter. It seems like they want to push these old fans are not worth listening to. We want to bring in a new audience. And that actually brings up to my next question of if they're, so profit is one thing, and that could be a bunch of different motives along with profit. Like I said, we want to change this for either a modern audience or try and deconstruct what is there. But then on top of that, it seems like, using The Witcher as another example, and even Star Wars, it seems like they do not want to give any credence to the old base, because they even in some of the movies or some of the quotes from the shows it seems like they're directly pointing at the fans don't matter. We want to bring in a new set of fans that like this thing. Fuck the old thing.
Yeah.
And that's just so frustrating. I really don't like it when creators of things like that are dismissive.
Gray, if the beliefs are closeted, does that change the result? The result is that people
they
are
acting.
coming in and promote, that they're promoting or that they are creating based off of fundamentally flawed premises, which then get pushback, which then in turn receives more pushback, which looks bitter. And the ideology in the first place, whether they believe it or not, is narcissistic.
Yeah.
So
that doesn't. I think the core problem, the core issue remains, and that none of this discussion takes that away.
So the reason there's a reason why originally I brought up bitterness, and I know that it's what's put on there. I think a lot of the fans definitionally are bitter because these changes were made, whether it be justified or not. Because let's just bring up the definition of bitterness here. It's a feeling of that is a terrible definition. What the heck? Bitterness, one, a feeling of deep and bitter anger and ill will.
Oh my God!
Why is bitter being used to describe bitterness?
Because we can do that with women as well as the definition of woman. We can do it too.
It pretty much bitter is to feel like you're being unfairly treated. And another way would be to talk about injustice or something that you feel like is not fair. You were bitter towards it.
When you're bitter, that's what it is. When you're bitter, it's like you have been wronged by the world, and the world is the world is the baddie. If you have like the image of a bitter woman, like the bitter spinster lady that she's like that's what you get.
She's jaded, you could say.
Yeah, jaded. Yes, that kind of that is
hardened towards the toils of the world.
Yeah,
but it's one of these things that this subject is a hard one to pin down, because I can't be the only one that feels like a lot of these franchises that are continuing to go, they seem to have, even in their content, and I'm not just talking about around the content, in their content, a lot of the time it feels like there's a vested interest in saying we're going a new direction, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's how they go about it is to disrespect the original.
Yeah.
Or let's say the Wheel of Time, to not even care about the actual book and how it all goes. They're going to take the Sparks notes and just run with it because they care more about their own story.
Yes, and I also want to throw in the George R.R. Martin drama that's been going around right now is so apropos to this discussion because he focuses on this one very specific change and the butterfly effect that it causes. And you cannot just make simple changes without expecting big ramifications.
Especially in that depth of an IP. With an IP, it's a world. It's a lot of things. So there's definitely going to be an effect from small changes, especially if it's well written.
Yeah. So when you come in with, frankly, poor analytical skills, are a fundamental misunderstanding of what the things that make up a movie or a series or an IP, what really makes those things special. And you say, I'm going to make this change, I'm going to make that change. You are messing with things beyond your talent level. And then when it gets backlash, well, anyway, I'm rambling.
Then you get bad sales numbers.
And you get bad sales numbers.
I think that's a lot of also what Platoon was going on about here. he's recently started Fire and Blood, so he found the recent. So he's looked at the the changes, how George R. R. Martin thinks about it, and he says your nitpicking is one of the most infuriating things to hear as a critic because it shows the commenter has never ever written or engaged with the creation of an extended fiction. So that's what you're talking about there. Skill issue, bruh. Like that they just haven't, that they're in above their heads in terms of they want to make this nice change here, but they couldn't just write their own thing from scratch. So they want to change this thing because also the studio wants that because it's an IP and we're going to make money off of it. But they think they can change this and nothing will happen. It will be fine.
And it speaks to the inconsistency of the ideology. You cannot have it both ways, such that your race is such a small thing that it won't matter if you change it.
Yes.
But at the same time, it is so important and so pivotal to one's identity. You can't hold those two beliefs at once. So changing a character's race is a very big decision. Now, there are some stories. Now, there are some stories where race isn't the prime factor. Or an influence into what the story is, and then there are stories that are all around race. In either case, honor the author's original intent because they probably did it for a reason, even if you can't see it. It is the way it is for a reason.
Yeah, there is.
Question. Does the author's original intent matter to the people that are making these series? And should it?
These guys, it's unlikely, but I think it should, because
agreed.
If that is especially if the reason that they're creating this extended universe thingy, whatever, is because it was loved. The whole point that they harp on about these IPs is because this name is known. Let's work with it. There's already built-in fans. That's why we started with it, right? That's what you would need. That's why you do those things. So it behooves you to keep with what was originally there, because that's what made it popular in the first place, clearly.
That is what I feel exactly. This is why I always try to make the appeal to accuracy when I'm talking about the things I enjoy and why I don't enjoy the other adaptations. Like, this even goes for Lord of the Rings, but at least I felt like this is where I make an argument about Spirit. But this is a thing that we can talk about a little afterwards, because we're not quite, that's a little off the train tracks here.
Oh, because we're going to come out, yeah. Well, look here. So okay, so here's another thing. Sorry, in terms of being off the train tracks, we're talking about bitterness, right? This here, I think, comes to the fact, this is the skill issue bitterness, I think, is here. What Platoon is talking about here. He is saying, however you express it, because first of all, this is the butterfly chaos theory, and it works up to a point, but fails ultimately because the author actually can and does predict what happens if you step on the butterfly. He built the world. So again, that's what we were talking about. I think everyone here agrees. You should respect the author's, the way the author wrote it, especially, I would say, as we said, if that's the reason it's popular in the first place. If it's out there, nobody knows about it, and then you're adapting it because it would be better and in this medium, who cares?
If you have the skill,
if
you have the skill and the talent and the resources to genuinely make the improvements, then by all means.
Yes, exactly. Even if there's so many. It used to be a normal thing where people would go, oh, well, the book is better, or the movie's better, or I watched the movie. Like that would be a debate usually. Now it's like, you don't want anyone touching your books. Just don't do it. It's worse. It's gotten worse to the point where just like, the book is always better. That was another thing. The book is always better. And that's not necessarily the truth. So I think it just depends. It must depend on the case. Again, it depends on the actual IP we're talking about.
Yes, and there are limitations to adaptation. There are budget issues and
Yeah, Platoon gets
all
into it.
all
Yeah.
kinds of things.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay.
No, exactly.
Continue with that tweet.
No, sorry. But you were listing budget, right? And
Yeah, it's hard. It is not an easy thing to do, and a lot
No.
of people just aren't up to that task.
And that's also
and there
why-
are many factors.
And that's also why people get very angry with the criticism from the fans, right? They say the fans are so toxic because it's like, look, this is a difficult thing that we're doing. How could you just give us so much hate? We're creating things, and creating art is difficult. So stop giving us so much hate.
I can rephrase that for you. There's a better
How's-
way to phrase that, because I think a lot of these people can't take criticism. So it's more, I made a thing that has your name on it. Why don't
Yeah.
you praise me?
Yeah, exactly.
I made the thing.
Which George R.R. Martin has said before. It's like, oh, Star Trek fans used to be just fans of Star Trek. It's like, that is not how that works. It has to remain Star Trek for them to be
Also,
fans.
And a lot of them have said that they view these IPs as platforms to further their ideology.
Well,
Outright said it.
that straight up depends on who it is you're talking about, because that's when you have to start naming individuals.
Yeah.
And I was looking, I deleted the document when I fell asleep last night. So I had a bunch of references. And I deleted the WordPad document. But what was I saying before that?
There's
Dang it.
probably a way to recover it, to be honest.
There was no way. I turned off my PC
folder.
and it just I think WordPad has a crash folder. I'm not using Microsoft Word.
Okay, so it was about
Said trash, but okay.
we were talking about what what goes into how difficult it is, and these people can't take criticism. And then you said certain individuals. It depends on the individuals, and maybe you had examples. Is that what you had in your notes?
It was right before that. There was something that I wanted. Yeah, so I did actually have sources of individuals. Like I got specific names of writers from The Witcher and writers for the Star Wars films, and what, like, these people are political. They were very political individuals. They were very active. A lot of these people have active Twitters, and you can just look in the last 3
And
years.
they say,
I was like, oh, well, this was never made for white males anyway. It's like, okay,
and whether they,
tell me you're a hateful person. Like,
and going back to what Gray was saying, actually,
They are not hiring. Yeah.
whether they believe it or not, they're saying it. Okay, they're saying it, and that is an act of that ideology. Whether they believe it or not, whether they haven't shut up, they haven't kept quiet. That's their response. The response is to say that oh, the fans are wrong and the fans are toxic. And I'm not
so
trying
much.
to.
Sorry, continue.
No, well, I'm not trying to say that the fans can
hold on to that figure.
Are like, the fans are not rabid. Okay, I know I'm properly rabid about Wheel of Time, but that's what fandom is to me as well. Is that I'm protective over the thing that I love. And yes, I don't want to cancel people and let them never work in this town again and all that shit. But some people are just unhinged in that way. Okay, they want the person's life to be ruined, but because you ruined that one of their favorite things. But I think that should not take away from the fact that this is still happening.
This is my conspiracy theory, but I want to say I have some degree of empathy for public figures who receive undue amounts of negative comments. And you can characterize that as hate comments and whatever, because I'm sure they are out there. I don't deny that they get hateful things, and there are definitely people that seem to misconstrue characters for actors.
Of course.
But these and I don't know how I would react in that situation, but you're not doing yourselves, they are not doing themselves any favors when they attack the fans or when they insult the originals, when they come in and say, yeah, it's dated, she's not going to be saved by the prince, kind of things. No, you come in with good PR, be like, hey, we loved the originals. We try to honor what we can and give our spin on it. Just be better at PR is what I'm saying.
Yeah. That seems
We
to
worked
be
hard.
Why does it have to be? That's the bitterness thing. We worked hard on it. I enjoyed it. That's what it used. Look, that's what the PR is supposed to be. That they tell stories about what it was like on set and things like that.
Yeah.
You know,
And
when they would ask the actor about their character, you know.
And I would bet good money that the fans, generally speaking, would be worlds more forgiving and kind if the creators were more respectful. I mean, look at what was the Spider Woman, was it?
Madam Web.
Madam Web came out, and the actors were like, "Yeah, it's not that good." And everyone was like, nice, good response.
Yeah, one of the one of the things that Game of Thrones fans always talk about is the way the actors were not happy with how Game of Thrones ended. That's another thing. Like they weren't like, oh, the fans are horrible for not liking it. They were like,
Mark Hamill was furious with how his depiction of Luke Skywalker went in the sequel trilogy.
Yep.
But the fans are toxic and racist now to him, Mark Hamill.
Of course.
But
there was a point I was going to try and make that was, I don't remember exactly what it is. I'm going to remember it.
Okay, I'm going to go. I just want to finish
going.
Platoon's things because he touches on all of these points. Because this another thing is adaptation for film TV always entails abridgment, which is it's the excuse they use for Wheel of Time, and they can get in the fucking sea with that. Okay,
they basically abridged an entire book.
No,
but it's not the good parts of the book. They kept the bad parts in,
and they made up their own fucking shit.
Yeah.
Okay. No, you don't need that. So don't. If you there's no space. Then don't fucking put your shit in here.
You know, I think Moraine is cool enough. She should be in every single season as the main character.
You know, because she's not cool enough on her own. You know.
No. Which means
the story is about her actually. Sorry.
Yeah, and what happens to her probably won't happen because she's at the face of the show.
How did she land up being on my arm?
But the Wheel of Time is lame, so
Fuck you, Gordon! Get the fuck out!
Whoa!
Did you hear him? Did you hear him?
Time is what? I didn't
he said
hear.
He came in and he goes, "The Wheel of Time is lame, so who cares about it?"
Oh, actually, that reminds me because these same writers, this is what I was going to say earlier, these same writers and people that are being very spiteful and disrespectful towards the fans, a lot of the time later on they'll make the comments, it was never good anyway.
Yeah.
And that is just sort of like okay, middle finger to you, fuck you, why did you even make this series, why did you even try to do this?
Another tactic is also we did it first. It's another way that they go around is they when they fuck with canon, they're like, we did it first. That they fuck around with it to say that it actually stems from our ideology. Actually, the only reason that if it's good, you got it from us.
Sure.
Oh God. But the rest of their so he says
history began yesterday.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I love the way you worded that. But the test of their quality is often in whether they can take a more direct route to the same destination, moving and simplifying, but not breaking the chain of motive and causality. Why are you doing that? You see, they could have done that with Wheel of Time. They could have. But anyway, they could do it with a lot of things. My impression is that House of the Dragon might still do this. Thus far, it's mostly succeeded, in my opinion. JRM hinted at bigger problems in store, but did not expound. Rings of Power, which we can talk about, by contrast, fails on just about every count, magicking the world state into existence while cutting absolutely everything that makes it so.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand the word bitterness there. It's like, and the narcissism where it's like there's jealousy kind of thing. It's like they can't create what Tolkien did, so they're going to come in and there's the narcissism of, well, we can do it better because we know better. And I'm not trying to say that, okay, that means that we must only stick with the classics. Nobody can ever make anything new, ever, because nothing new will ever be better than the old stuff. That's not it. Actually, it's that you are trying to say that it was wrong, that the stuff that people loved was wrong.
And the person that was like, maybe you should make this a little closer to Tolkien's works was fired.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Ooh, I like that. I like that terminology. Retro canonization.
Retro.
Yep.
That is a cool term.
Don't give it a valid name. It's a cool name.
Yes, Dorcas?
It totally flew out of my head.
Oh,
I'm
I was so
sorry.
scared. Sorry.
All good. I had an acting coach once who very, very much hated the substitution method. Substitution method being if you're in a scene and your mom is dying and you're supposed to cry, think about a time in your own life where your puppy died or you experienced great loss, and that will help you emotionally in the scene. And my acting coach absolutely hated it because you're at that point, you are not in the scene. You're not paying attention to the scene. You're not listening to what's happening in the scene. And the audience picks up on that. It's a very subtle thing. The point of this is that it's about where a person's attention is directed, where a creator's attention is directed. And in a lot of cases, and again, a little bit of empathy, you're dealing with focus groups and you're dealing with executives telling you to make changes and so on. So I'm not going to discount those elements of it. But if your attention as a creator is, I'm going to put my ideology in first, I'm going to, if I'm going to make a strong female character rather than telling a story about a female character, people will clue into that either subtly or unconsciously. There's nothing in life you can get away with, and people see it. And if we're gonna play, this is what I was gonna say. If you're gonna play the he started it, she started it game, I think there's a very strong argument the ideologues started it.
The ideologues started the culture war, I suppose. Made it, but by taking the IPs and destroying them, that deconstruction thing, I do feel like the first blood was from that, because you deconstruct. Your solution is to deconstruct everything. That ideology is, I must break it down and rebuild it in my own image. I can't build my own.
Question. I asked this question. I feel like I have to play devil's advocate here. Okay, so how much do we know about like westerns, like cowboy westerns, not western films?
Not much.
I just know that they're westerns.
So a lot of the time when they were first made, they went through a specific type of structure where there was, there's the hero defeats the villain, very classic.
This town ain't big enough for the both of us.
Exactly. And then it kept getting derivatives like that, and then the sales started to fall, and then it went towards the spaghetti western type, where it turned more into an anti-hero story, more of a mystery character. Now, granted, I'm not making a claim on writing here, but it's a lot of the things will change over time, regardless of like who's making it. You never want to make the same thing twice. I don't think I can make the claim that these people are purposely destroying their series, because the changes will come over time regardless. Whether those are good things or not, that I don't think that they're good. But
they're not skillful changes, as Dorcas has explained. They're not skillful changes. So if they're good, it's really hard to argue with him, because it's just like it's compelling, it's still entertaining, it's doing what it's supposed to do. Where the point where you go, oh, this was based on a book, I didn't know that, kind of thing. Like that, I understand. I think that's why I spoke about hand on the scale thing, because I understand that culture moves and changes, but that's a natural sort of process that happens very subtly, and it seems like the activists really came in and just fucking rammed that shit in there.
I think the activists definitely want to say, this is ours, we're going to make it ours now.
Yes.
But I think
Yeah.
it's I'd be hard pressed to say that they are purposely trying to destroy a series.
No, they're not destroying. And I agree with you. It's just what I mean by deconstructing is that in order to make it theirs, they have to take out the things that made it what it was. They have to, in order to make it theirs, they have to forget about Sidar and Sidine. They have to say there's just the one power. In order for them to, why do you need to do that? You could have.
It's a very good question.
Your own story. You don't need. So you are destroying.
No sense, but
you are destroying what it was, and because you are, and there is an inherent judgment in that you can make it better. When you humanize the fucking orcs, you're saying that Tolkien, in the world that he created, where good and evil are black and white. No, not allowed. Sorry.
And actually, before people make the quote, because there's a quote from one of the letters that Tolkien made about the orcs, where he was asked that question, and he said, maybe at the end of time, the orcs could be redeemed. Emphasis at the end of days, guys. Of time.
It's the end of time, guys, because apparently there's orc mommies and orc babies.
Yeah, since when were they not spawned basically in
literally,
the depths of the darkest evil place?
I know those were the Uruk-hai, but still, that's literally how they came out.
Yeah,
I'm not
just.
Yeah. And so, on the orc families topic, I'm a person who in D&D loves to play the monster races.
Sure.
I play orcs, I play hobgoblins and goblins, those kinds of things all the time. I think they're super fun. There are different types of stories, though. There are stories where you do get into those nitty-gritty details, and then there are stories like Tolkien in which the race is more or less a monolith, representation of dark forces, and you're
literally
not supposed to.
Yes.
It's Gurm's tax policy. You don't need to know Aragorn's tax policy because you are watching mythological heroes, archetypal heroes fulfill a role within a grander mythological narrative. Whereas you can go and it is okay for Lord of the Rings to be that. No one does Lord of the Rings better than that. And then if you want orc families, you can go and read something like a George R.R. Martin book where they get into culture and trade routes and tax policy and all that kind of stuff. So you're not holier than thou for making a Lord of the Rings series with orc families. It just shows you have a fundamental misunderstanding of what Tolkien is.
Oh, and disrespect. So even if you go and speak to someone, like they could maybe understand your criticism, right? But they go, oh, I don't care. Or the point is you feel as a fan that they don't give a shit. So even if you don't understanding what he was doing, well, it's ours now. Like one of my favorite clips is what's her name on the Fellowship of the Ring when they did the behind the scenes thing, where the director is saying, I'm not taking the story and making it my own. That was not what we were about. We're about. That is why for me it's not as egregious to have those changes that he did, literally taking out Tom Bombadil and all of that. Those changes like that the spirit of the story was not changed. If you go and take Sidine and Sidar and you turn them into just the one power and you make Tavir and everybody, okay?
Yeah.
You are taking the soul of the story and you are destroying it.
And I'm going to pick on Gray here for a second because he's not here to defend himself. But sorry, it's a really weak defense to say, oh, it's just another spin of the Wheel of Time. Well, it's
Fuck
a different universe. Well, sure. And thankfully, it's not the
Write your
universe that
own
matters.
universe. Write your own fucking universe, okay? And then the biggest criticism somebody can give you is, hey, that's a bit derivative. So people have said, Mount Doom, that's in a lot of fantasy stories. Yeah, but it's still it's their own story, okay?
I don't
the worst
know.
you could have done.
Go ahead, Dorcas.
There's also a time and a place for analyzing, say, an individual episode of a larger series or an individual movie in a trilogy. And then there's a time and a place for analyzing it as part of the whole. And you want to be good at both. Ideally.
Yes. Yeah,
Sure.
because your product that you're delivering should make money every time when it comes out. That's why you brought it out. So it should be standalone good, and then when you are successful, and then when you look at it as a whole, then you can have another analysis and say, you can also talk about the pros and cons of each medium. Are you talking about the differences between mediums, or just iterations, versions of adaptation?
It's how does the Phantom Menace work as a movie on its own merits, and then how does the Phantom Menace fit into the Star Wars series? It's both.
Yeah. Nico has an interesting question here. Because now we've definitely established we have a problem, right? There's the bitter. We understand that we can't attribute bitterness to everybody and narcissism to everybody, but we're looking at different motives that are in play here, and profitability is another one. But anyway, so if we're going to try and vaccinate ourselves, can you make a story deconstruction proof? I don't think that that's possible, but that's an interesting idea.
I don't know exactly what you mean by a story deconstruction proof, but I know that there's proof of deconstructed stories that have done well, even ones that we like, because even in the Wheel of Time, there's constant throughout the series deconstruction of prior themes. Because I'm not talking about the show. I'm talking about how throughout the Wheel of Time, how it was built in the first book is designed to be knocked down with different revelations on, this is actually what this is. And it was all designed on everything is circular, so this has all happened before, and then they're rediscovering it. That is a deconstruction of what it once was.
But you can call that a kind of deconstruction, right? Of what it was, but that is within the context of the story. It's doing that within that world, within that
expansion.
Yeah, just the whole that's a huge consideration. But when we're talking about out in the world, out in the wild, in adaptation land and things like that, deconstruction it wasn't even part of the story before. It's deconstructing it, and again with this motive of injecting these principles that weren't necessarily there before. So you're deconstruction itself isn't necessarily the worst thing, but the way that they're using it is it pisses me off. It's not in a questioning manner, what if kind of thing. No, it's we did it better.
Yeah, and it's never let's explore this topic. It's always here's my position on this topic, and if you disagree, you're wrong. But I take the position that anyone who is talented can do just about anything with a story. If you're a good writer, you can find a way to make things interesting.
Yeah, there you go. Logan is a good deconstruction of superheroes, so is Watchmen. That's what you mean. That's of a no, that's what you mean. That's what I'm thinking of, is that like there's certain things that deconstruction can have a function, like in the story, like in Wheel of Time. You can say that those changes are part of its message, right? But what they're doing is they're taking a story that's already got its entire world there, and they're saying, no, it's not right, and it's got to do this, and I'm going to break it apart, and I'm going to say it's just reconstructing and changing. It's changing all from the black and white view of evil, good and evil, to a more gray area thing. But that's not what the story was trying to do. That's not part of the story. And I understand that person that says, oh, well, culture changes, stories change, stories evolve. Yes, absolutely. But this, my analogy of the hand on the scale is that it's not happening naturally. It's happening by force. And also, when there is backlash to it, you're just invalid. And it ramps up. That's why we're in a culture war now. It's just because everything is just, don't touch me on my politics.
I might accidentally summon Hydra, but wasn't Stalin, before he more or less became Stalin, served in like a thankless HR position? He took he like booked meetings and what have you, but it's because he was in this position where he was able to make connections and maneuver around. He was able to usurp after Lenin died. I don't remember the history like well enough to really expand on it. The point of this being is the ideologues enter into HR and into these positions where they can hire people of their choice.
They deploy.
Who they exactly, and they hire people who they know will further their ideology. And that's really what it all comes down to for me on this question of bitterness and of narcissism, is that they don't like when they get pushback for promoting their ideology, but they've done an excellent job of pretending that it's lucrative to create within the parameters of the ideology. And it's just not, because they never show up to support when they do. Does anyone remember Captain Marvel? Does anyone remember the early seasons of that Star Trek Picard series?
Captain Marvel is a bad example because Captain Marvel made a lot of money.
Yeah, but that was back when
it was one of the first of that kind.
Yeah, it was back when the MCU had some amount of respect for it.
Yeah. And it was on the hype of something else.
Okay, The Marvels. Does anyone remember The Marvels?
Can someone? Yeah, I'm gonna ban Josephus comedy.
Yeah, thank you.
So
the another thing. Sorry, I'm Josephus's now.
Bro's asking for money in our chat. Who do you think we are?
Who do you think you are, J-Mac? What is this? Oh gosh, talking about the not showing up. This fictional modern audience doesn't show up. It says, "Oh, this movie was not made for you." No, then like there's always that the content creators put together. They've the screenshots of like a Screen Rant or something where Screen Rant goes, the Charlie's Angels reboot is not for you, men, or whatever. And then the next side by side it says, men are not women. Charlie's Angel stars say men are not. Or why aren't men not
showing
watching?
up to support?
That's the one. Why aren't men showing up? And it's just like,
really, the cognitive dissonance. And when you write, usually you have a target audience in mind. But regardless of who the target audience you're writing for is, the rules of writing that you generally want to follow are the same across the board.
Makes sense. And that what is good writing? Yeah, what is compelling writing? The aspects that make something compelling, I suppose, would change according to your audience. Like, I don't know, if you're not into romance, having a romance might not be compelling or something like that. But yes, the actual skill of the writing does come into play. You can't just and then it works.
Yeah. And the people whose MO is to widen the Star Wars audience to women may not think that they are going to inherently turn off men by doing so.
Mhm.
But you're not writing good stories,
Mhm.
iconic stories, mythological stories, and you're insulting the men who, or not even just men, but the people who don't like the new content. And
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, that's what frustrates me the most. It's not, it didn't turn out right. Some people didn't like this. We got a bad response. We'll do better next time.
Mhm.
Instead, it's no, screw you for not liking this. You should have liked it, you swine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but also then there is that other kind of thing that it's not for you, so it doesn't matter. You're just going to go away in any case.
Oh, sure. It very well could not be for
There's
me.
all those kinds
that's
of
why I won't
reactions.
watch it.
Yeah. So there's this annoying dynamic of, well, fine. You don't have to like it. It's not for you. Why don't you like it? Oh, well, there is this back and forth that just, look, none of us are saying things that are new here. This has been around for a long time. There's creators like Nerdrotic and Disparu and all of those people and Little Platoon, all of them. They have all been saying this. But I guess what Bimo's question was about in terms of bitterness is, it's like, can we ascribe some sort of motive?
Oh, hey, Spoon.
Hi, Spoon. What's my reaction? Playing older stuff.
This is
Sure.
the way.
you just watch Lord of the Rings over and over again.
Though,
you just read it. Yeah.
There is a problem with that, though, because that is an argument that's usually used by people that will say it's not for you. Just look at the older thing, and it's like, okay,
just go
but
back.
that doesn't invalidate my complaints.
Yeah,
And it's used as a dismissive measure of, well, just play the old thing, play the old game, read the old book, watch the old movie, because those are the ones you like. Sure. But it's the same thing that I have a problem with. It was never good in the first place.
Yes.
Because a lot of the time, these people that will say, just watch the old thing, will say the same thing, but it was never actually good.
Yeah.
It's not a real argument against what's being said here, about the qualms being brought up. And that's what's most frustrating to me. It's a dismissive, like, well, screw you, sit and spin, is basically what they're saying.
He says it. He never said it does. It just it's got better things. He's got better things to waste his energy on, like getting drunk. Well, yes. I only do that on weekends, so I dole out my time. So media during the week is so.
Go argue with people on Twitter, Spoon.
Yeah, go and enjoy that. But yeah.
And I know I've said this before, but if we're going to play the maybe I'm wrong game, maybe I'm wrong, but if I am, why aren't the people who are demanding these changes showing up for these new things? Why aren't they getting more views? Where's the merchandise? Where are the quotes and the excitement? And terrible.
And where is now what's even compounding this is the tribalism, right? Because there are the people that want the new stuff to succeed because shut up, you bigots, you got to enjoy it, right? And you're a bigot if you don't enjoy it, that whole thing. Those people then they try, their fandom is actually based on that DEI principle and stuff. Oh yes, yes, no.
Did anyone watch Willow?
Joy, no, I did not.
I watched it through Disparu.
Okay. So the one thing that you can get from Willow is that it took a previous movie and made a completely different thing out of it and slapped the name Willow on there, and then people were mad that it didn't get very much reception. Well, it was nothing like what it was before, and there really wasn't an audience. That's why it was canceled after one season
and removed. It didn't even make it couldn't even remain being streamed. It was removed from the servers.
I also want to throw in what is good or not for myself has a relative bar. I'm not going to expect everything to be a Lord of the Rings. I'm going to judge a
everything should meet
CW.
your standards.
You're gonna judge CW, yeah.
I'm gonna judge whether or not a CW show is good on a different bar than a Peter Jackson film. So, but there is still a baseline. Anyway, I'm rambling. Continue.
There is a baseline, but there is absolutely nothing. And also, when there is something that you've loved, you will have a higher,
of course,
line, because you have Tolkien, and then you have Rings of Power, you have Wheel of Time, and then you have Wheel of Time. So of course your bar is going to be very high. That's what I was always scared of whenever people brought up the getting a show for Wheel of Time. I said leave it. I didn't want anyone touching it because it's perfect in my head. It's perfect the way it is, and don't touch it. That's it. I'm fine with it. Because you are going to disappoint someone. Don't worry if you make an adaptation. Definitely.
Okay. This goes back to the whole profit conversation. Okay, so the intention to keep these series going is to continue to make a profit, which means you bring in an audience, blah, 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 however you do. And if these things don't make money, like Rings of Power made money mainly because people were shitting on it. But it was a lot of these are greenlit for 2 seasons, regardless of whether they are going to be acceptable or not. The Halo TV show was greenlit for 2 seasons, regardless of the perception of that awful first season. Which means if let's say these writers are aware that we have 2 seasons to do whatever we want, why would they care about the audience reaction?
And they try and use the audience reaction to get the other side to support
the drama
them.
pipe.
But I think, yeah. Sorry, continue. I wanted to ask you because now Spoon says I was going to call him Tool because he says utensil.
2 things can be true at once.
Yeah, if revenue doesn't come from the consumer, then you don't matter. So where is this revenue coming from?
A lot of the time, it's coming from higher up.
Yeah.
There's funding for a lot of these things.
Yeah, and go back to Rosales' points of money laundering. Yeah.
Some of it could be the state, but I'm not going to say that without a lot more evidence. I know that some games that recently came out got state funding and they failed, but regarding some movies and shows, that doesn't mean that there's doesn't mean it's all state funding.
BlackRock, yeah. What I want to ask you guys is, do you think hate watching, which I know my answer, but do you think hate watching, because they're like, oh, well, we drum up hate watching, it's fine. Hate watching creates profit?
Hate watching does create profit if you pay for it. So if you don't pay for it.
What do you mean if you don't? Oh, yeah, there is piracy, yes. But I'm talking about just on average, just is it profitable? Is it okay? Is that a good business proposal that, you know what, we're just going to piss people off, it makes money? Does it make more money? My question is, does it make more money than fucking good stuff?
I doubt it.
It might work in the short term, but certainly not in the long term.
It also erodes. It just keeps going and becoming shitter and shitter and shitter. And eventually, what these other content creators will come to is that, hey, people actually just don't care anymore. That's what happened with Star Trek and a lot of people, Star Wars, Doctor Who. People are not even, they're apathetic. They're not even angry anymore. They don't even hate watch. So that's not going to, people aren't going to go and rewatch The Rings of Power over and over and over again the way that they watch Lord of the Rings, the trilogy. They're not going to do that. And how many times have they re-released those freaking movies in the cinema?
Too many times, almost.
I wish they could. Never where I am. They didn't do that.
That's funny, actually, you bring Doctor Who because, David Tennant can't revitalize the series anymore.
Well, That's interesting. You were talking about culture having changed. Those people have somewhat changed. The writer has changed. They're definitely, their ideas have changed, and that resulted in the show not actually being successful anymore. Well, the supposed comeback not being successful at all. Being
What comeback?
hated. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just because the person that, I suppose, if Peter Jackson came out and created another Lord of the Rings, and it also made orc babies and orc mamas, then I'd also be pissed off. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're gonna do that, then I'm gonna be like, shame, then you're ideologically captive.
So, but on this topic, if making something bad on purpose for the hate watches, if the concern here is that you're going to give them money and make them want to continue that pattern, if Mahler buys one copy of Acolyte on DVD or whatever, or for 1 month of Disney Plus, giving away his right to sue Disney over all things
ever for anything, yes.
ever for anything, and then he makes a video about it which dissuades 10 people or 20 people from watching it, from getting a Disney Plus account. Is that more likely to happen or less likely to happen?
Yeah, is that, and also what Nico is saying as well, wearing hate watching and raising awareness about the shittiness of an IP can probably work to discourage studios into not making
well
that.
said. Much more concise than what.
And also there is a lot of hate. That is why the content creators that we call the fandom menace, I suppose, they do land up making a lot of money because people would rather engage in that kind of watching. Literally, I've never watched. Look, I was not. I'm part of the target audience for Batwoman, right? I'm hello, female. I'm supposed to be the new audience, right? I'm supposed to be a new audience, though. No. It started off with a white girl with short hair. I had short hair, but it was.
Are you a lesbian?
It was me.
So, or am I wrong?
You guys know how I am with Ali. Shame them. Okay, anyway.
Moving on.
That's a joke. It's a fucking joke. Relax, Jesus Christ. What was I going to say? Yes, I was part of the target audience, right? For Batwoman or Bat whatever it is, that thing, right? But I watched through Disparu and Jay Longbone. I watched that series through them. I didn't watch it at all. I didn't even know where I could get it. So I feel like that's more likely. That kind of hate watching is more likely than actual hate watching, where you go and you take time out of your day to go and watch. Like, I'm kind of wondering whether I should go and watch The Rings of Power properly. In the beginning, I wanted to watch it because I want to know exactly if it is as bad as people say it is, because I don't want somebody to be able to go, well, you didn't watch it, so how can you criticize it? So fine, I'll watch it in order to do that. So I think I'm with Nico on that you just criticize. You can hate watch and criticize. And then when you love watch by diagramming House of the Dragon or something like that, then that's another thing. She didn't answer. I did answer.
Yeah,
And
she said shut the fuck up.
Also, no, that are you trying to say that Gordon is a woman?
Yes.
No. So.
Anyways.
And to add on to this idea, pattern of behavior. If the movie that came out 6 movies ago was bad, maybe that's a fluke. If if the movies that came out 5 and 6 movies ago, it's like, okay, maybe a fluke, maybe they just weren't for me. If 4, 5, and 6 were bad, you start to see a pattern. If 3, 4, 5, 6 are bad, you can build an expectation.
And on top of that, they're talking about why they want to do more of what was bad. And they're saying this is what's good about it.
We're allowed to think. We're allowed to make assumptions or informed opinions. We're allowed to have informed opinions, which gets to that critical drinker video we covered a while back, which was critical. The video wasn't a review of The Boys season 4. He was saying, here are my expectations of what season 4 will be based off of seasons 1, 2, and 3, and the reaction around 4. And we're allowed to form opinions that way. We could be wrong, but okay.
Could be wrong? Yeah, you could be wrong. Probably are wrong. You
I'm
gotta
never
shut up
wrong.
if you're wrong. No thinking, obey, conform, consume. Yeah. I don't know. But now I want to ask, how do we solve this? We complain until it changes, I suppose. And we enjoy the things that are very good.
So you can do what I do, and when a new thing comes out that you think might not be good, you don't pay for watching it. You could just
You don't
pirate
do
it.
that. You don't do that, Bima.
No, I don't do that at all.
Or you can watch Disparu's coverage of it, or Jay Longo, and that'll be way more entertaining. You'll know what happened in the story.
Transformative.
Yeah, it's transformative. Exactly. I'm gonna if I do a watch party or something like that, I'm gonna have that as a hashtag.
I'm down to watch Rings of Power season 2. I've seen one episode so far.
I haven't watched
doesn't
it all.
look good.
I have no interest.
I don't know if I can sit through it. I'm just listen. I watched Rebel Moon, the first one. But yeah,
I didn't even know the first one came out.
yeah, I watched Rebel Moon, so I guess I just.
I do so much to avoid ads at any point in time. I go out of my way to avoid ads, even if it means paying extra money. So like, I don't get these advertisements. Then I see like little banners for like Rebel Moon, and I'm like, huh, what's that? Looks bad.
Looks bad. And I love what Nico said here. Not every person is discerning. Many normies watch stuff to the end and can't vocalize why the thing that they watch is bad. And that is why those creators are so popular. Nerdrotic and Drinker, they give those thoughts voice because they don't. That's exactly the thing. EFAP, all of those guys, I don't know how to articulate exactly why something was shit. And that's why I lean on you guys for that sort of thing. Or I'll spend some time, a lot longer than most people will, to figure out why it was shit.
Man, it's almost as if you've made an entire YouTube series based off of that.
Yeah. Why do I hate this? I need to explain. I need to examine. But that's exactly. I guess that's all we can do. But also, yeah, I understand the people that criticize, that try to say that all you do is negativity. Then, no, it's just things are that shit.
Okay, well, I got a couple different
overall
thoughts on
quality has dropped.
I like that it has.
Are we doing closing statements on this? Is this what this is now?
No, unless there's something new that you need to do it.
I don't think that you need your criticism of a product to be empirical, to be something that's based in fact, for it to be a valuable criticism. I think that your criticism can be valuable just based off of your feelings. And a lot of criticism it's I don't like this thing. Here's why I feel this way. A lot of the time it's not based off of, well, factually, objectively, this movie's bad. A lot of the time, an objectively bad film is usually a 6 out of 10 to a 5 out of 10, which to me, I'm not going to go to the theater to go see a 5 out of 10. Ain't happening. But that's a different story.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking when you say objectively, that actually there's no such, like objectively, I suppose there is in terms of profitability, but there are such things as cult followings where something suddenly just becomes successful.
It's just the term objectively is used subjectively.
Yeah. It's used subjectively because it is used to show. It's like, I tried to like this. I tried very hard, but it's objectively bad. I couldn't put myself in a position that made this good. And yes, when somebody comes and tries to shill such things, like Screen Rant, get in the fucking sea, bro. Screen Rant is just Screen Rant can, and you know what, they're in my Google feed all the time, and bless the white cloaks, they basically just read Screen Rant and say, what the fuck is wrong with this? Like that sort of thing.
I love Screen Rant.
Those kinds of people that are trying to milk the goodness out of this shit. Okay, they're squeezing that dung really hard. Okay, that those people, I can only laugh at them. I'm not going to pretend. And yes, I will say that your opinion's wrong.
Sure.
My opinion that your opinion's wrong, and you know what? You can go and enjoy it. Go and enjoy your Wheel of Time.
It's not that your opinion can't be wrong. This is the thing. Your opinion can definitely be wrong.
And to me, and yes, who am I to you, internet stranger? Who am I? But also the thing is, what happens is we gather where our opinions are, where we collectively agree. That's what humans do. That's why you have millions of subscribers, Nerdrotic.
Exactly. This is actually why I like I'll go watch a film and I'll really not like it. And then I'll go talk to my older brother, who is the normiest of normies, and he'll then argue with me about how it's one of the best movies to come out that year. This happens every time. If I hate a movie, he's gonna love it.
Oh yeah.
It's just how it was. Thor: Love and Thunder is his favorite Marvel movie. Yeah, this tells you the type of person I'm talking about.
What?
But, oh yeah, don't get me started. But just to bookend kind of what I mean, movies and stuff. I think that there is a lot of. I think that there is a vested interest in pushing things in a certain cultural direction because that's what people might like. And I think that is surrounded by a bunch of people who this is just who they are. This is what they want to make. This is what they think people deserve or what they want to grace the world with. And they have an opportunity to grace the world through a series that already exists. Because Lord knows if they put those ideas in their own series, it probably wouldn't make any money and have no fanfare. Happens all the time. Yeah. So I do think that there is a degree of bitterness, but instead I think I would say that there's a spiteful reactionary
spiteful. How have we not used the word spiteful? That's right.
I've been purposely trying not to use spiteful.
Really, that is such a good word for it. Oh my god, how did we not say spiteful? That's beautiful. Continue.
So I think that there is a bit of a spitefulness to a lot of these writers as a reaction, but I don't think it's the majority. I think it's more Hanlon's razor of these people just either aren't good at what they are doing or their intent is off. Like, I'm going to change Star Wars to be about a woman that's good at everything and has no consequences for any of her actions. I don't think it's good writing. I think it's just a lack of either a lack of training or a lack of people saying, hey, maybe you should work on this a little bit. But I think that there's more to it than just, ha ha ha, I'm going to make things lame and gay.
Agreed.
Dorcas, your finishing, closing thoughts.
My finishing statement. I think it's a bunch of people who have been poorly educated, but probably have some amount of talent and intuition. And there are also elements of focused groups and executives telling them what to do. But for the most part, a lot of people who are in creative positions are fueled primarily from an ideology that is, I won't say antithetical to good storytelling, but is drawing their attention.
A large claim.
Yeah.
You said you won't say it.
I said won't, but I think is drawing their attention away from primarily focusing on story. And I think it's just basically a lot of what you said, Bimo. At the very least, it comes off as incredibly bitter and spiteful. And
100% agreed.
just don't attack the fans. Come at it from a place of respect and appreciation.
But they called me racist. Why would I be respectful to them?
Exactly.
It's all just mud flinging.
Well,
But so my main thing is it's multifaceted. We understand that we can't attribute a bitterness to all of them. Okay, that one of the first points that was brought up is that give me an individual and we can assess. But there is a trend, and I'm just saying Dorcas's points. Yeah, there is a trend. There is no you cannot tell me that it's not happening. Okay, you can't. You cannot tell me. And then then the cycle goes, it's not happening. Actually, no, it is happening, and that's a good thing. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, multifaceted issue. I do understand that it can get very toxic, but you know what? When passions are high, when you love something so much, and then it's ruined, then you're gonna
I
get
actually
it.
have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just so I don't know how much. I don't think, Dorcas, you said that you've read the Wheel of Time, right? You haven't read it?
I have
I
not.
don't know if you'll like
You
it.
have not. Okay. So Kitty, I have a question for you. If you were to make the first season of the Wheel of Time and you had to cut something, what would you cut?
I actually haven't even thought about what I would cut.
We could extend that out to next week, because I think we should extend this into next week's, so then people that I know have opinions, like Gray and Charles might have different opinions. I want to hear their thoughts. So what if we extended this out to next week?
Absolutely, I think that's
Cool.
a good idea.
Elevator think.
Elevator think, yes.
I think so. Let's do that. So we'll do a Think on Bitter Media Part 2.
Sure.
Yeah, especially since Charles and Gray didn't get to be here, and I really wish they were, because they would have been counterpoints to us. I'm
definitely.
Oh, 100%. I think, Dorcas, you and I agree on too much here.
Yeah, we all agree. You know what? At least we've grouped together. We like, okay, boys, let's go. And then when the other two come in, I don't know, Hydra's also will be like, I don't know, probably with us. And then just have
movies and stuff like that aren't exactly Hydra's jam anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is.
What if they're not available? If they're not available next week, then it'll be the week after. Hello, it's every Thursday. Come on.
It's all special.
Yeah, and I will diagram it if it gets heated. Okay, because
sweet.
That's how it's going to happen. But I'm going to have to do a think on Wheel of Time. The thing is, as you know, the way that they were talking about, if it's shit, it looks like shit and it smells like shit, you don't have to eat it. I don't even need to be able to take a shit to know that shit is bad. So what I'm saying is, just because I don't have the solution of how I would do Wheel of Time, doesn't mean I don't expect better from people that are supposed to be my betas.
Sure.
That's what I would say. So a lot of the time, if I don't have the solution, that does not mean there's no problem. Yeah.
I like to at least feel like my positions are consistent on this issue. And I long for consistency in life, much less for everything else. So it's like if I think something is bad, I want to be able to say why something is bad and be able to translate that into other series as well. Of okay, I don't like this thing, therefore I shouldn't like it in other things as well.
Yeah.
Well, to comment on that and sort of echo Kite a little bit, I'm willing to incorporate additional factors into my overall analysis. Maybe say I haven't put enough weight on, say, the focus group element of it or something, but it seems undeniable to me that it's happening, that there is something bad happening.
Yeah, I'd be interested in just blind spots, things that, that may not have even been mentioned. But for me, I think the only thing that could be brought to light is maybe different proportions of these things. Maybe something I should care about something more than then I'll do. Maybe that's the only discussion that there is.
You better behave or I'll diagram you.
Yeah, I'll diagram your sorry asses. So yeah, guys, Bimo, are you going to be doing any Concord fixing streams or things like that?
I wasn't thinking about streaming it, but I'm definitely going to try and do some fixes in the coming week. Be like, this is what I think would improve this design, and if I really decide to knuckle down on it, it might be in 2 weeks, and then I can turn it into a YouTube video. But
Sweet.
I am very much an amateur regarding editing and getting everything to look right in a video format. So who knows? Who knows? But I know I need to do something on my YouTube channel because it's just sitting there. It used to have an old video when I was 14, where I was playing Team Fortress 2, and I thankfully deleted that.
I still have to do something with my old gaming videos. They're from 2018-ish. But anyway, also if you do the Concord fixes, you will obviously share them on Twitter as well. That's where you hang 100%. Out a lot. And obviously in the Discord, there is also space for that, for the artsy stuff.
Actually, I will make this statement right now. I will do an event. All right. So we're gonna do some Concord design fixes. All right. So tell you what, there will be a prize.
Exclusive.
All right. Oh. There will be a prize for who does the best one.
Oh, I will apply the scuff aesthetic. I will do it. I'm so excited. So yeah, and who is this Noe podcast man over here? Noe. What are you up to, Dorcas? Noe?
Yeah, check out the No One Asked You podcast for exciting things. Lots of exciting things planned. Ascension Unleashed.
Someone's got just laying on their horn.
Yeah, someone near where I am. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
I can let Kitte do the promotion for my channel if
let's go.
No. I like the horns in the background. They make me laugh.
Okay. Ascension Unleashed continues apace Sunday mornings, every Sunday morning. And starting in about 2.5 weeks' time, we're getting Storming the Archives, where Kitte and I are reading the Stormlight Archives. And that'll happen each week. This Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Pacific, Kitte and I are doing a live blind reading of The Emperor's Soul over on my channel. Neither of us have read it. I know nothing about it.
I'm reading it right now.
No, don't. You're not allowed to.
I'm just looking at which page it's on. Yeah.
So we're gonna read that together and comment on it as we do. And of course, as always, I have 100 different things planned for the channel. It's just a matter of being able to get them done. So yeah, please go check it out.
Yeah. We'll see you then.
I'm super excited because you're going through Stormlight Archives, which is one of my favorite book series ever. So, like, Mistborn's good. Stormlight Archives blows it out of the frickin' water, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's what we've heard.
Or
I will be nerding out with you guys.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you. Yeah, please do. I do try to be in the premiere chat, but yeah, it's
that's okay.
Whatever, but yeah, there's always fun discussion. I watch the chat, so in the premieres, so that's good. But also, yeah, a reminder that the No One Asked You podcast is called the No One Asked You podcast for a reason. It's not just a Sanderson channel. Okay.
Nope.
So look out for
it is. Yeah, it is not just a Sanderson channel. I want to get interviews up there and maybe reviews and Three Kingdoms content. I'm ambitious with it.
And so you should be. Why not? So anyway, this is how we depart. Follow the thinkers in their links, where I will put them in the description below. But yes, enjoy our outro music because it's the only thing that is. I don't know. Is it?
It's
we should have a
peak.
poll. Is it better than the intro music? I think the intro music. Shit. The intro music.
I am. Nico, unfortunately, I'm unlikely to cover anime at the present time. Conflict of interest.
One could say.
Speaking of anime, let's go into our song.
Wow.